In this world, if a female's looks are over 60, she'll drive males into frenzied beasts, clinging to her 25 hours a day for cuddles. But this girl's looks are a solid 800. To escape being claimed for cuddles and babies, she dresses herself up as an ugly mess every day. But one day she wakes up to find 5 stunning, naked guys beside her. Mistress, sis, master, baby, darling. This is Shang Xiaomei's 5th year in the beast world. Right now she's by the river watching the commotion. She's never seen anyone go all out for a wedding like this. The riverbank stretches for miles, all decked out in red lanterns. Just then, a woman nearby speaks up. So cruel. What a waste of 5 stunning men, tied up and sent to their deaths. Shang Xiaomei's gossip radar goes off. Why do you say it's a death sentence? Isn't this a wedding? The woman turns, sees Shang Xiaomei in a mask, looking like an outsider, and joins the crowd in explaining. Around here, there's an evil female ghost, ugly and wicked. Rumor has it the only way to cleanse her rage is to offer her the most handsome men in the world. So to keep their tribes safe, the 5 beast clans each give up their finest men, all on the same day as ghost marriages into the ghost realm. But as she listens, Shang Xiaomei's smile freezes, and the sunflower seeds drop from her hand. Because that hideous, lustful female ghost from the ghost realm they're talking about, that's her. She used to be a 21st century female idol who could sing and dance. She had never been in a relationship. During a stage performance, she accidentally fell from a height of 60 feet. That fall sent her into the beast world. She also got stuck with a pervy system. All she had to do was check in every day to earn thousands of beast coins. Even better, just being in the same room as a hot guy earned her exchange tickets. She could trade them for any modern supplies. If she didn't have enough tickets, she could use her health bar to get life-saving weapons. To restore her health, she had to get close to handsome men. But if the guy didn't truly like her, she'd die instantly. So for 5 years, she stayed single. No matter how careful she was, her health bar slowly dropped to 20%. She'd sometimes use her special power to help others. But since females were super rare in the beast world, and Shang Xiaomei was an idol-level beauty, she'd cause a sensation there. So every time she went out, she disguised herself. The scarier the better. Who would have thought she'd end up as the monster the beast people talked about? But she never expected things to turn out like this. To stop this ridiculous ghost marriage, she teleported back to the inn, put on her disguise, and teleported onto that creepy wedding boat. Inside the cabin, there were 5 guys tied up, with red veils over their heads. By now, the boat had reached the middle of the river, and water was leaking in from the back. It looked like the 5 beast clans were planning to sink them and the boat to the bottom of the river. This is what they call a ghost marriage. Just drown them alive. Shang Xiaomei holds up a lantern in one hand, and with the other, she lifts the red veil off one of them. When she sees him, whatever conscience Shang Xiaomei had left goes right out the window. It's her favorite kind of merman. His indigo blue hair falls over his shoulders, and his ice blue eyes are totally mesmerizing, pure and tempting. This one, can't let him go. Shang Xiaomei tries to play it cool, and steps forward again. She lifts the red veil off the second guy. This one is different from the merman. When he sees Shang Xiaomei, there's no fear in his eyes, only humiliation and anger. He's a young wolf clan boy, with short silver-white hair. He looks stubborn in a way that breaks your heart. Heh. Can't let this one go either. Shang Xiaomei keeps moving forward. She lifts the red veil off the third groom. This time, Shang Xiaomei isn't amazed. She's startled, because under the veil, the guy has golden, slit-shaped pupils. Shang Xiaomei recognizes him right away as someone from the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan is fierce and powerful, and their royalty can't afford to offend them. Guess I'll keep him for now. She goes up to the 4th guy, lifts his red veil. This time, she sees a total cutie. His face is streaked with tears. A pair of cat ears on his head really stand out. Around his pale, slender neck is a collar set with a ruby. Heh. This one, I have to keep him. When it came to the last guy, Shang Xiaomei thought there was no way he could be better looking than the others. But when she lifted his red veil, she realized she was wrong. After a moment of being stunned, Shang Xiaomei murmured, "No wonder he's from the Fox clan." When he saw Shang Xiaomei, his expression didn't even change. His dark, crow-blue eyes were deep as the sea. The brightest red lips paired with the most seductive eyes master the alluring vibe he gave off with just a glance. was way too much for Shang Xiaomei, who'd never even had a boyfriend. Just then, water from the back of the boat had already seeped into the canopy. In that short time, the water had already covered Shang Xiaomei's feet. She had to make a decision fast. What should she do with them? She was well educated, so how could she accept an arranged marriage like this? But her health bar was down to just 22%. Free guys handed to her on a silver platter, why not take them? Shang Xiaomei hesitated for a moment, touched her non-existent conscience, turned around and said to the 5 grooms, who had just married her overnight, "The ghost realm has its own rules. A ghost marriage can only be entered, not broken." The 5 men, each with their own unique charm, looked at her ugly face and silently lowered their heads. Spatial shifting was her advanced skill, but using it drained her health bar. To bring her grooms to the island, Shang Xiaomei didn't hesitate to use up a bit of her health bar and use spatial shifting to return to Dust-Sealed Island. Because she suddenly disappeared, the men on the boat were all startled. Time ticked by. The wedding boat was still sinking when the river was about to spill over the sides. The grooms, with their hands and feet tied, all had looks of despair on their faces. Suddenly, the boat lurched downward with a jolt. In the blink of an eye, the stern was completely underwater. This terrifying scene made the crowd on the shore gasp. The 5 men on the wedding boat were half submerged in the river. When everyone thought they were doomed. On the river, a ghost ship suddenly appeared, moving at top speed. The shore erupted in chaos. Everyone was stunned by what they saw. It's a ghost ship. The spirits have come for the grooms. Shang Xiaomei lashed the 2 boats together with a rope, then quickly cut the ropes binding the men. She ordered them, "Get on board." Shang Xiaomei smugly thought to herself, "Good thing I have my supply space and special skills, or I'd never be able to handle these tall men." When the men stood up, Shang Xiaomei realized they were all taller than each other. Especially that Dragon Clan guy. Broad shoulders, long legs, and an incredible body proportion. Shang Xiaomei wisely kept her distance. She couldn't let them find out that she was actually a weakling. Driving the speedboat back to Dust-Sealed Island, Shang Xiaomei hastily settled the men in a beachside hut and went back to her own big house to sleep. The next morning, bright and early, Shang Xiaomei suddenly realized, "Holy crap, I'm just a weak girl." She brought 5 strange men home. The more Shang Xiaomei thought about it, the more reckless she felt. To protect herself, she decided to hide her real face from them for now. She'd just stick with that ugly disguise. The good news was, to get exchange tickets, Shang Xiaomei had to hunt down handsome guys. Now she had 5 top-tier beauties at home. The exchange tickets had been skyrocketing since last night. After getting up, she checked her supply space. There were over a dozen items she could exchange for. Her favorites, chicken wing, rice, and cola, were among them. So she headed straight to the room where the men were. Shang Xiaomei was holding 5 breakfasts. She'd exchanged them from the space using tickets. She walked up to the poor catboy first, because she got close. The poor thing was trembling in fear. Shang Xiaomei acted really friendly. She crouched in front of him and handed him the food. The poor catboy had no interest in breakfast, but he didn't dare refuse what she gave him. Shang Xiaomei then asked him, "What's your name?" Looking at her scary face, the poor thing answered quickly, "My name is Yanqi. I'm a catboy." "Yanqi, that's a nice name. Eat your breakfast while it's hot." Yanqi opened the bag. He planned to just pretend to eat. But when he saw what was inside, he froze. A whole chicken wing. Its skin stretched tight over the meat. A chicken wing with its skin stretched tight over the meat. Yanqi had never seen such strange food. It didn't look appetizing at all. There was also a thick flatbread stuffed with weird stuff. But the flatbread wasn't even white. If Yanqi could barely accept those 2 things, then the cup of black liquid next to them, served in a strange container, was even more terrifying. None of this was normal food. It looked like it could be poisonous. I'm not hungry." Yanqi finally mustered the courage to refuse the breakfast. But Shang Xiaomei got worried. Such a fancy breakfast. She only got to eat one like this once in a while since coming to the beast world. How could he waste it? How can you not be hungry? You haven't eaten anything since last night. Come on. Let me open the cola for you. Just as Yanqi was panicking and didn't know what to do, a hand suddenly reached out and snatched his food. It was the Wolf Clan man. He devoured it like he was starving, grabbing the chicken wing rice roll and wolfing it down in a few bites. After finishing, he stared longingly at the breakfast bag in Shang Xiaomei's hand. I'm hungry. Let me have it. Shang Xiaomei noticed that although he was tall, he wasn't strong. His collarbone stuck out sharply. Ever since the island people invaded the beast world, they had driven the wolf clan to the barren northern desert. The wolf clan loved meat, but the northern desert had nothing. They had been living in hunger. Their craving for food outweighed everything else. Go ahead and eat. Looking at her scary face, Shang Xiaomei handed the wolf clan man another bag of breakfast. He snatched the food from her hand, as if afraid she'd change her mind, and started wolfing it down. My name is Shi Li. Li liked the pear. Shi Li was rough in his ways. The soda Yan Qi was too scared to drink. He twisted off the cap and chugged it down. Shang Xiaomei was captivated by his bold, manly style, and couldn't help laughing. Her laugh was sweet and clear, stunning the 5 men. Yan Qi, who had been crying from nerves, suddenly calmed down. Shi Li ate breakfast and drank soda with no problem. So the others stopped worrying. When Shang Xiaomei handed them food, they took it politely, and even offered their names. The cool dragon clan hunk was called Gui King. Shang Xiaomei's favorite, the merman, was called Zizi. The one so alluring Shang Xiaomei dared not get close. The fox clan man was called Hua Ying. The 3 of them were well-mannered, showing no displeasure with the food, and not saying a single unnecessary word. Their expressions were eerily calm. The more they acted that way, the more uneasy Shang Xiaomei felt. She had a sudden idea, and thought of a way to keep them in line. The water you just drank was poisoned. The poison kicks in every 7 days. Without the antidote when it does, your guts will rot and you'll die, ha ha ha. By the end of her speech, Shang Xiaomei made sure to let out a sinister laugh. Sure enough, all 5 men's faces changed. Yan Qi was the youngest. Ever since last night, he had been completely falling apart. Now he finally couldn't hold it together. He grabbed Shang Xiaomei's arms tightly, shaking her wildly. Let me go. I want to go home. Even though he was younger than Shang Xiaomei and looked scrawny, he was way stronger than Shang Xiaomei, a girl idol who couldn't even lift a shoulder or carry a hand. Shang Xiaomei felt dizzy from his shaking, unsteady on her feet. To keep up her scary image, she quickly pulled out a stun gun for self-defense from her space and pressed it against Yan Qi. The other 4 men, watching everything in secret, saw Yan Qi's body start twitching weirdly, then go stiff and fall to the ground. Each of them had a priceless look on their face. Clearly, after this, their fear of the ghost had grown even more. Even Gui King, the dragon clan warrior with insane fighting skills, couldn't figure out how the ghost had taken Yan Qi down so easily. They could only chalk it up to dark magic. Yan Qi lay on the ground in despair, tears streaming freely. His state really freaked Shang Xiaomei out. What's wrong? Shang Xiaomei crouched beside Yan Qi, still using a gentle tone like she was talking to a kid. Seeing Yan Qi didn't respond, she went on. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Don't you want to go home? I can take you back. The moment Shang Xiaomei finished speaking, Yan Qi sat straight up, his big, watery eyes wide open. He looked at her softly and asked, Really? You'll really take me back? Then take me now. Grandma's waiting for me at home. She can't see. Without me, something will happen to her. Shang Xiaomei felt something was off. With your situation at home, why did you agree to a ghost marriage? I had a choice. They dragged me here by force. Shang Xiaomei was speechless. No wonder he was so broken. Anyone would be. She let out a long sigh. But the men listening nearby all tensed up. According to the rumors, Shang Xiaomei was a demon who ate people alive. Yan Qi was recklessly provoking her. Would she kill him to save face? Gui King held a dagger behind his back, his knuckles white from gripping it too hard. Shang Xiaomei noticed their tension. She had only sighed, and they were scared to death. But she didn't bother explaining. Right now, seeing Yan Qi in so much pain, Shang Xiaomei figured she should send him home. So she said, Since you were kidnapped, I'll set you free. I'll take you home. Shang Xiaomei helped Yan Qi up from the ground. Then she turned to the other 4 men and said, Is anyone else here who was forced to come? I can send you all back too. Wang was the quickest and most natural to react. He lowered his head and knelt on one knee, taking the chance to pledge his loyalty to Shang Xiaomei. Since I've married into the ghost realm, I belong here for the rest of my life. I will never be disloyal. Gisheng and Zizi also caught on. They knelt down one by one to show their loyalty to Shang Xiaomei. Gishing said, I've cut ties with the mortal world. From now on, the ghost realm is my home. Zizi also said sincerely, I'm willing to follow the mistress with all my heart. Zizi's use of mistress was about as flattering as it gets. Shili was never good with words, and even worse at saying what others wanted to hear. So he just came out and said, our wolf tribe was driven to the northern desert to barely survive. I've never had a full meal in my life. If I can eat my fill here, I'll stay. Seeing how honest he was, Shang Xiaomei couldn't help asking, so you agreed to Marian, just for food? Shili nodded and said, I sold myself for 500 beast coins. Noticing Shang Xiaomei's speechless expression, he quickly explained, 500 beast coins isn't much to you. But for my younger siblings back home, it buys enough rice and flour to last them half a year. Shang Xiaomei couldn't keep asking. Out of habit, she raised her hand and patted Shili on the shoulder reassuringly. If you ever want to go see your siblings, you can tell me anytime. Her gentle gesture left all the men present completely stunned. But they were still thinking about the Blackwater incident, so their guard against Shang Xiaomei remained high. Gui King, Wang, and the others were waiting to see how Shang Xiaomei would handle Yan Qi. Would she make an example of him to save face as a ghost? Or would she actually send him back? They had expected a bloody punishment. But what happened was beyond their expectations. Shang Xiaomei told them in the calmest tone, I'm taking Yan Qi home. You four have nothing to do these 2 days, so you can use the island's timber to build new houses, or repair the existing old ones. Whoever builds a house gets to live in it. Mistress, what about the fields on the island? Can we farm them? Shili, whose tribe lived in the barren northern desert, with no farmland, had always suffered from hunger. He had an extraordinary passion for farmland. Ever since he came to the island, seeing the fertile fields all abandoned, it was like seeing gold lying on the ground. With no one picking it up, his eyes lit up. Of course you can farm. But Shang Xiaomei hesitated. She remembered when she first came to Dust Seal Island. Although she was the only human living there, she wasn't the only living creature. A family of wild boars also lived on the island. Those boars always bullied her, rooting up all the vegetables she planted. Shang Xiaomei wanted to get back at them, but ended up being chased all over the island by the boars. It's just... Shili pressed nervously. Then she heard Shang Xiaomei say, there are wild boars on this island. They'll root up everything you plant. Shili frowned, her eyes suddenly turning sharp. If they dare come, I'll turn them into roast pork. Shang Xiaomei felt like a long bullied egg, who finally found someone to lean on. She silently cheered inside. Stupid boars, see if you still dare mess with me. I have a husband now. Though she felt smug inside, her ugly mask showed nothing. But her voice unconsciously carried a hint of joy. Then go ahead and plant. Plant whatever you want. But I don't have any seeds. Shili took the opening and asked Shang Xiaomei for seeds. Shang Xiaomei turned and went inside. And right in front of them, took out from the haunted house all kinds of vegetable and fruit seeds she'd gotten with exchange tickets. She'd also specially gotten wheat and rice seeds. And Shili, now holding the seeds, looked at Shang Xiaomei with much softer eyes, as if she were a parent worth respecting. Then, just as she'd said, Shang Xiaomei took Yan Qi onto the ghost ship. The speedboat moved very fast. As they neared the shore, Shang Xiaomei said to Yan Qi with guilt, when you get back, tell your parents I'm sorry. You being suddenly kidnapped. They must be really worried. Yan Qi cautiously looked up at Shang Xiaomei and answered quietly, I don't have parents. I'm an orphan. I wandered around when I was little. Then my grandma took me in. Shang Xiaomei's heart skipped a beat. How could she be an orphan? My grandma's old. And she's blind. They kidnapped me to force me into a ghost marriage. They want me dead, so they can take over my grandma's house. Shang Xiaomei asked curiously, who are they? The Red Sun Gang, those jerks. They rely on the islanders for backup, so they'll do anything no matter how evil. Just mentioning the Red Sun Gang made Yan Qi's blood boil. But it wasn't just Yan Qi who hated them. Shang Xiaomei did too. The Red Sun Gang did all kinds of terrible things, and always blamed Shang Xiaomei for it. That's the main reason her reputation was so bad. From what Shang Xiaomei knew about the beast world, property in their world, especially in crowded cities, was just as valuable as in her old world. But with the unstable times, private property wasn't properly protected. Weak people having their property stolen by thugs happened every day. Where do you live? Shang Xiaomei was still thinking that Yanqi might live in a well-ordered city, but her answer made her even more worried. I live in G City. G City, a place of exile for Beastmen. The most chaotic city in the beast world. It's full of all kinds of shady characters. No beast tribe rules over it. It's a haven for beastmen who've been banished or exiled. It's easy to imagine how hard life was for Yanqi and his grandma. In such a lawless place. I'm going. Before Shang Xiaomei could say anything else, Yanqi couldn't wait to get off the boat and leave. Shang Xiaomei thought it over. She still felt uneasy. After all, Yanqi had married into Dust Seal Island. On paper, they were husband and wife. She couldn't just let him fend for himself, so Shang Xiaomei changed into some rough everyday clothes, put on a little demon mask, and followed him. G-City was full of rival gangs. The streets were crawling with thugs. Everywhere you looked, people lay in pools of blood from fights, not moving. Here, a beastman's life was worth nothing. Shang Xiaomei followed Yanqi all the way to his home. Just as she expected, his house had already been taken over by someone else. Worst of all, they'd kicked out Yanqi's grandma. Yanqi searched nearby twice, but couldn't find any trace of her. His grandma was old. And she's blind. Those heartless people had driven her off somewhere unknown. Yanqi was so overwhelmed with worry that he lost all reason. He was all alone and powerless. But he was determined to fight those bullies for his grandma. Shang Xiaomei watched from the shadows as he pounded on his own door, demanding the thugs inside come out. What's the big idea? Who dares disturb my sleep? A big man with a pockmarked face, followed by a few punks, pushed the door open. Yanqi stood outside and demanded angrily, Pockface, where's my grandma? Pockface saw Yanqi and just laughed, mocking him. Little beggar, didn't you go get married to a corpse? How come you're back alive? Am I seeing a ghost? Ha ha ha. Yanqi clenched his fists and slammed them into the thug's meaty face. The thug howled in pain, covered his face, and ordered his punks to jump Yanqi. Get him. Beat him to a pulp. Shang Xiaomei watched Yanqi get jumped by the punks. She wanted to rush in, but was frozen by what she saw. Yanqi, surrounded, seemed to feel no pain. No matter how much they hit him, he didn't dodge. Instead, he lunged and bit down hard on Pockface's ear and wouldn't let go. Then he suddenly lunged at the punk on the left, sinking his teeth into the guy's wrist. At the same time, he grabbed the punks, dragging him from both sides. The punks howled as they tried to pry his fingers off. Shang Xiaomei heard the sound of bones cracking right next to her ear. Yanqi's pinky finger was snapped clean off. Even then, he still didn't let go. If this kept up, Yanqi would definitely be beaten to death. Shang Xiaomei didn't hesitate anymore. She didn't have enough exchange tickets, so she had to use the health points to trade for a handgun from her space. Bang bang bang, she shot the punks, beating Yanqi. The punks, who had been moving fast, collapsed instantly. Blood gushed from their wounds. As they looked around, Shang Xiaomei teleported 100 yards away, without letting them see her. The gunshots and the punks' screams quickly drew a crowd of neighbors. Seeing Pockmark and his crew in such bad shape, they whispered in fear, shot in one go. Only a ghost could do that. Yanqi belongs to the ghost. You dare to mess with the ghost's man. The ghost is here. The ghost is killing people. The onlookers came and went in a flash. Pockmark and his crew were hit by bullets, screaming in pain and unable to move. They were all freaked out by the sudden terrifying horror. An unfamiliar fear gripped them. They curled up on the ground, shaking uncontrollably. Yanqi, on the other hand, staggered to his feet. Blood kept dripping from his mouth, but he still managed to smile. Pockface, thanks for sending me to a ghost marriage. My wife is a ghost. Now that you've pissed me off, I'll feed you to the ghost as a snack. Talk. Where's my grandma? I didn't drive your grandma away. And I wasn't the one who set you up for a ghost marriage. All of that was Scholar Liu's idea. Pockmark was terrified. To save his own skin, he instinctively spilled the truth. Scholar Liu. So it was him. Yanqi was furious. When Scholar Liu first ended up in G City, Grandma took pity on him and let him stay for a few days. Later he went astray and joined the Red Sun Gang. Yanqi and Grandma cut ties with him. Who would have thought that the one scheming behind the scenes for Grandma's property and having Yanqi kidnapped for a ghost marriage was him? Ignoring his injuries, Yanqi turned and ran straight to Scholar Liu's place. Shang Xiaomei was still secretly following him. She was worried his hand might not heal right. But then she saw him, while running, pop his dislocated fingers back into place. Beastmen really were different from soft, delicate humans like Shang Xiaomei. Soft, delicate humans are different from Beastmen. Scholar Liu was nothing like Pockmark. Pockmark looked vicious and was bad through and through. Scholar Liu was poisonous inside, but always acted friendly on the surface. When Yanqi found him, he was surprisingly polite. He even put on a big smile and brought up where Yanqi's grandma had gone. Yanqi, your grandma was kicked out by Pockmark and his guys yesterday. I saw she had nowhere to go, so I offered to let her stay the night. But she refused to stay. She insisted on going out to find you. So she left on her own. Yanqi knew exactly what kind of person he was. He was a sneaky, two-faced snake. Scholar Liu must have deliberately told Grandma about his own kidnapping. That's why she went out looking for him. Liu, don't act all nice in front of me. If it weren't for your idea, why would the Red Sun Gang target me and Grandma? Even if I die, our family's property won't go to you. No matter how angry Yanqi got, Scholar Liu kept that annoying fake smile on his face. And what he said was shamelessly greedy. Yanqi, your grandma's adopted grandson. I'm also grandma's adopted grandson. Before she left, she agreed to leave the property to me. You've already married into the ghost realm. What does grandma's property have to do with you? Yanqi was so furious he couldn't speak. Earlier, when he was being ganged up on, he didn't lose. But now, this shameless scumbag Liu had him totally stuck. Shang Xiaomei watched from the shadows. She could tell Yanqi was no match for this Scholar Liu. First, Liu set up Yanqi's kidnapping. Then he lost Grandma. And finally, he shamelessly acted like Grandma's grandson to steal Yanqi's property. With this whole scheme, he easily took over Yanqi's family's assets. And no one could even blame him for it. Right now, Scholar Liu was laughing arrogantly. Then go find Grandma and ask her in front of everyone. Yanqi was left speechless. He knew Liu wouldn't be this bold. Unless he was sure Grandma couldn't be found. G-City was so chaotic. A blind old woman in her 80s, wandering all night outside, could have collapsed in some corner and be unable to move. But Yanqi still held on to hope. I will find Grandma. I will get her house back. This time, Yanqi didn't act rashly. He also knew that dealing with someone like Liu, fighting would only get him more sympathy and hurt Yanqi's own case. Dragging his injured body, he started searching for Grandma door to door along the streets. But Yanqi didn't know many people in G-City. Even if he did, they were afraid of the Red Sun Gang. And no one dared to help him search. There was no way he'd find her anytime soon. Shang Xiaomei saw all of this. She quietly came up with a plan. With that in mind, Shang Xiaomei checked her stash of supplies. The most plentiful item was lollipops. She first laid out a cloth on the ground, then piled up a mountain of lollipops on it. In the beast world, supplies were scarce. People were starving to death every day, especially for treats like candy. Even if you had money, you couldn't buy it. Shang Xiaomei just shouted out, "Free candy! First come, first served." People nearby immediately crowded around. At the front were mostly half-grown kids, reaching out their hands, eagerly asking Shang Xiaomei for some. "Boss, I want one. Give me one, please." "Me too. Everyone gets one." "Let me ask you guys. Did you see a blind old lady yesterday? If you help me find her, I'll give you 100 beast coins as a reward." As soon as Shang Xiaomei said that, the kids' lollipops suddenly didn't taste as good. The adults nearby gasped in surprise. 100 beast coins? Really? You're not lying, are you? Little girl, what exactly did that old lady look like? I'll help you find her. Me too. I'll get my whole family to help. More and more people gathered around, all raising their hands high, eager to help Shang Xiaomei find her. Shang Xiaomei knew beast world currency was valuable. 100 beast coins was enough for a frugal family to live on for 10 years. But as valuable as beast coins were, Shang Xiaomei could earn thousands of them just by doing daily tasks to get everyone even more motivated to help. She added something shocking. "If you can bring me a blind old lady, even if she's not the one I'm looking for, I'll still pay you 1 beast coin for your trouble." As soon as she said that, The whole street erupted in chaos. Those who had a blind old lady at home didn't waste a single second. They ran straight home. Those who didn't have one were racking their brains, trying to remember if they'd seen a blind old lady anywhere. In no time, more and more people crowded around Shang Xiaomei. They lined up, grabbing lollipops and shouting Shang Xiaomei's message. Soon, the whole city of Ji was mobilized. Everyone was helping Shang Xiaomei find the blind old lady. Half an hour later, a middle-aged fisherman came up to Shang Xiaomei. Last night, I was fishing by the river and rescued a blind old lady who had fallen in. I don't know if she's the one you're looking for. Shang Xiaomei sensed a lead and immediately replied, Sir, can you take me to see her? The man nodded and said hesitantly, I'm just worried she's not the one you're after. And you'll have made a trip for nothing. Shang Xiaomei saw how genuinely kind he was and felt even more respect for him. Other people, even knowing the old lady they brought wasn't the one Shang Xiaomei was looking for, would still drag their elderly relative over just for one beast coin. But this man had saved an old lady who very well might be the one Shang Xiaomei needed. And his first thought wasn't about the reward, but about saving Shang Xiaomei a wasted trip. This man may be weathered and worn, but his heart is the purest of all. Shang Xiaomei followed him down to the river. The man's name was Yu King. Shang Xiaomei called him Uncle Yu King. Uncle Yu King, how did you find Granny Yankee last night? Uncle Yu King recalled vividly. Last night I went out to fish on the river. I worked late into the night. When I was heading back to the village, I saw someone drowning. So I pulled them out. The old lady hasn't woken up yet. She's been talking in her sleep. Keep saying Kiki and Grandma's here for you, stuff like that. Right after that, the two of them arrived at a shelter made of dry reeds, held up by a few wooden poles. Shang Xiaomei stared at the shabby place. One thought crossed her mind. This is really rough, huh? Inside the shelter was just a narrow bed. Lying on it was an old lady, with white hair and her eyes shut tight. When Shang Xiaomei walked in, she heard the old lady muttering in her sleep. Chi, don't be scared. Grandma's here. Grandma will go with you. Shang Xiaomei crouched by the bed and gently nudged her. Grandma, Yankee is already home. Let's go home too. After calling her a few times, Granny Yankee finally reacted. She opened her dull eyes and looked at Shang Xiaomei. She asked in a hoarse voice, What did you say? I said Yankee is already home. He's waiting for you there. But they all say Yankee was given in a ghost marriage to the monsters in the ghost realm, sunk to the bottom of the river and never coming back. Granny Yankee's voice trembled, and her eyes grew wet. Seeing how sad she was, Shang Xiaomei quietly comforted her. Yankee really did come back. I'm the one who brought him home. Who are you? Granny Yankee couldn't see, so she tilted her head slightly. Shang Xiaomei leaned close to her ear and whispered mysteriously, I'm his new wife. Granny Yankee shuddered at the words, maybe because she was old and had seen so much in her life. She quickly calmed down. She even asked Shang Xiaomei curiously, Can I touch your face? I want to see what my grandson's wife looks like. Shang Xiaomei took off her mask and agreed cheerfully. Go ahead, Grandma. If you're not satisfied, you can call off the wedding. Shang Xiaomei was a top-tier beauty even in the modern world, let alone in this beast world where females weren't fully evolved. Compared to other females with thick body hair and bulky figures, she was so beautiful she didn't look like she belonged to this world. Granny Yankee's hands carefully traced Shang Xiaomei's features, and the more she felt, the more pleased she became. Yankee is so lucky to have found such a beautiful, wonderful girl. Soon, Yankee came looking for them. When Yankee rushed over in a hurry, Shang Xiaomei had already left. She had expected Yankee to come looking for her, because she made sure to tell him to go to the river to find his grandma. After Yankee was reunited with his grandma, the two hugged and cried. Yankee asked why she had come to the river, and Grandma said that Scholar Liu told her Yankee had been forced into a ghost marriage. She came to the river to find him. Scholar Liu pretended to be kind and led her there. And when she wasn't paying attention, he pushed her into the river. After thanking Uncle King for saving their lives several times, Yankee took Grandma home. Right after they left, Shang Xiaomei, back in her ghost disguise, showed up at Uncle Kang's house and left 100 beast coins on his table as payment. When Uncle Kang came in and saw the coins, he was overwhelmed with emotion. He had been poor his whole life. He'd finally found a girl to marry. But her parents wanted 10 beast coins as a bride price. Uncle King couldn't afford it. Last night, he was ready to call off the engagement. Now, suddenly, he had all this money. He could finally get married. And with the leftover money, he could hire workers to build 2-tiled rooms for his wife. Life suddenly seemed full of hope. On the other side, Yankee brought Grandma back to their place. They didn't expect was that Scholar Liu seeing Grandma? Wasn't panicked at all. Instead, he pulled out a property deed with Grandma Yankee's fingerprint on it. Yankee was furious. You tricked a blind old woman into signing that contract. But Scholar Liu smugly said, no matter how much you yell, this house is mine now. You shameless jerk. Think it over. My wife is not someone to mess with. Yankee was learning. Even though his relationship with Shang Xiaomei was still like strangers, he'd already figured out how to use her name to scare people. Grandma Yankee firmly believed that her grandson's wife had connections everywhere and would help them get the house back. Maybe because they sounded so sure. The scheming Scholar Liu actually started to get nervous. But he wasn't about to give up the house. So he started yelling, go ahead, bring your wife. Let's see what a little ghost in the shadows can do to me. That night, Yankee and Grandma stayed at a neighbor lady's house. Everyone on the street knew what happened. They didn't say it out loud, but they were all wondering if the ghost would really show up that night. And to keep the house, Scholar Liu not only brought some tough thugs to stay at Yankee's place, but also hired the most famous ghost hunters in Jicheng. They stood at the front door holding talismans and charms. Meanwhile, Shang Xiaomei was thinking. She knew that a sly scumbag like Scholar Liu would only stop being greedy if he was truly scared. The wizards guarding the front door were less scary to Shang Xiaomei than a dog. She used up a bit more of her health bar. Using her space-shifting ability, she appeared in Yankee's yard without any trouble. She teleported right to Scholar Liu's door. Scholar Liu didn't dare sleep. He and two thug friends hid in the room to keep each other's spirits up. The next second, the window facing the hallway suddenly creaked open. A gust of wind blew in from outside. As the eerie wind swept through, the candles in the room went out, leaving total darkness. But that strange wind was just Shang Xiaomei using her teleportation power to fan them with a fan. Because she moved so fast, they couldn't see her. Seeing this, they all huddled together, waving their weapons in terror. It's a ghost! The ghost is here! Scholar Liu shouted, backing away as far as he could. But his two thug friends backed away even faster, yelling over each other. Great ghost! The one who stole your house was Scholar Liu. We had nothing to do with it. Don't kill the wrong people. They didn't hesitate for a second. Shang Xiaomei found it funny. But she wasn't about to let them off easy. She pulled out some creepy props from a haunted house straight from 2D space. She hooked bloody fake limbs onto Scholar Liu and his friends. And a headless dummy. It mechanically paced around the room, repeating in a creepy electronic voice, give me back my head. Under Shang Xiaomei's control, the room filled with piercing screams, each one louder than the last. The wizards guarding the front gate were so scared they wet themselves and ran out the door screaming in terror. As for Scholar Liu and the two thugs, it wasn't that they didn't want to run, but their shoes were stuck to the glue Shang Xiaomei had spilled on the floor. Since she'd poured out so much glue, their socks and shoes were stuck right to their feet. To save his life, Scholar Liu was the first to force his feet out of his shoes. The skin peeled off the tops of his feet, and he screamed in pain, but he still ran. The two thugs were terrified too. Just like Scholar Liu, they yanked their feet out of their glue-soaked shoes and socks and escaped from Yankee's house. Their cries were heard by the whole neighborhood. Yanqi came looking for her right away. As Shang Xiaomei was cleaning up, Yanqi pushed the door open and walked in. When he saw the scary props on the floor and the bloody shoes and socks Scholar Liu and his friends left behind, his knees went weak and he sank to the ground. Shang Xiaomei was still in her monster costume. She turned her head, her eyes completely black with no whites, and asked, are you scared too? Yanqi stared at the headless dummy oozing blood, his lips trembling. Where's the head? Shang Xiaomei let out a little laugh. She ran over and turned off the dummy's switch. The dummy stopped talking and stopped bleeding. It's fake. See? It's made of plastic. What's plastic? Yanqi asked seriously. Maybe because he'd met Shang Xiaomei a few times. He wasn't as scared of her as other people were. Shang Xiaomei scratched her head. What's plastic? It's a kind of material, ugh. Forget it. I can't explain it well. I didn't do well in school back then. Never really got it. Yan Qi looked confused. Do ghosts and monsters have to go to school too? Shang Xiaomei thought back to her own school days. Studying for over a decade in misery. She nodded heavily and said, Yeah. We have to study. And there's endless homework every day. It was so painful. 10 minutes later, Shang Xiaomei packed up all the props and put them back into her space. Then she and Yan Qi cleaned the room together. Only then did they bring Yan Qi's grandma back home. The house gift contract Scholar Liu had been holding earlier. He'd been too busy running for his life to take it. Shang Xiaomei got the contract. She burned it with a single flame. But she figured, knowing Scholar Liu's personality, he wouldn't just let it go. Sure enough, Scholar Liu was the type who'd risk his life for money. He didn't dare to deal with ghosts himself, so he went to the Red Sun Gang for backup. The core members of the Red Sun Gang are all from the island nation. These islanders are skilled in ninjutsu. Their combat power is extraordinary. They also took advantage of the fact that the major beast clans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They got in with the Dragon Clan. Gradually, they infiltrated the Beast Kingdom. Originally, Yan Qi's family problems wouldn't have gotten any attention from the G-City Red Sun Society, but because Yan Qi got involved with a ghost, and the ghost actually showed up in G-City, in the Red Sun Society's eyes, this became a huge deal. The islanders have always preached that they are the children of the gods. They claim to be unbeatable. So when the ghost attacked their people, it was a huge disgrace to the Red Sun Society. So, the ghost has to disappear. Scholar Liu told the G-City Red Sun Society leader Yi Zhaojun about his encounter with the ghost. Yi Zhaojun slammed the table in anger. He shouted to his men, "Get the 7 Rakshasas here now." I don't believe the 7 Rakshasas can't take down one little ghost. When Scholar Liu heard the name 7 Rakshasas, his eyes lit up. In all of G-City, everyone knows the reputation of the 7 Rakshasas. Their 7-man formation has no weaknesses. No attack can break through them. Even if a fly buzzes past them, it'll be sliced in half. And it was only a matter of time before the Red Sun Gang clashed with Shang Xiaomei. Shang Xiaomei knew that too, of course. But as long as she still had health, the Red Sun Gang couldn't kill her. For her, the most important thing right now is to find a man who can help restore her health. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yan Qi was quietly talking with his grandma in another room. The old lady held Yan Qi's hand and kept praising Shang Xiaomei as a beautiful granddaughter-in-law. Beautiful? Yan Qi thought of Shang Xiaomei's ugly, scary face and immediately questioned, "Grandma, you can't even see. How would you know what she looks like?" "Silly child. She's your wife. Of course I had to check her out carefully for you. In all my years, I've never seen such a perfect-looking woman. Skin so smooth you could poke it. Not a single stray hair." Grandma's exaggerations got worse, and Yan Qi was even more skeptical. In the beast world, female evolution was incomplete. Thick body hair and short, chubby builds were pretty much standard for every female. "Grandma, go to sleep. Don't worry about me. No matter what she looks like. She's my wife. I'm committed to her for life." Shang Xiaomei had come home with him these past 2 days, helped him find his grandma, and got their house back from Scholar Liu. He'd already decided in his heart that she was his wife. After grandma fell asleep, Yan Qi got up and left. Back in his own room, just as he was about to lie down and rest, a sudden noise came from next door. Cats have sharp hearing. Even though the noise was deliberately kept low, Yan Qi could still hear it loud and clear. Yan Qi quietly crept closer to Shang Xiaomei's room, peeking through the crack in the door. When she sees him, made his whole face turn red. He saw Shang Xiaomei taking a bath in her room. Even though it was just her back, still, that was. But seeing her completely bare, just like grandma said, she really didn't have a single stray hair on her body. Her skin was smooth and flawless, with beautiful curves. It wasn't at all what Yan Qi had expected. He only glanced once, before he was too embarrassed to look again. But the graceful figure standing in the misty steam of the room kept him from falling asleep. He didn't dare look again. But he couldn't stop feeling curious. When the sound of water finally stopped, he let out a heavy breath. He no longer had to hold back his feelings. The next morning, Shang Xiaomei showed up again in her monster costume. But Yanqi wasn't scared of her at all anymore. Not only was he not afraid, he could even notice her little slip-ups. Like when her butt got caught on a branch. And she didn't even notice. The branch tore a hole in her butt. And the stuffing inside started spilling out. But she still didn't realize it. She just kept walking. But Shang Xiaomei didn't notice her butt was torn. But she did notice Yanqi's eyes glued to her butt. She felt like her dignity as a monster was compromised. She turned around and coldly asked Yanqi, "Why are you always staring at my butt?" Then she heard him say, "Your butt, it's leaking." Shang Xiaomei looked down and checked behind her. Behind her, several clumps of white stuffing had already fallen out. It was super awkward. Guess I need to patch it up. Without even eating breakfast, Shang Xiaomei went straight to find Yanqi's grandma for a needle and thread. Since she couldn't sew the back while wearing the clothes, she had to take them off. So she just reverted to her true form and walked out of the room. Sitting in Yanqi's yard to mend her torn fake butt, she focused entirely on the needlework, sewing with all her heart. But the result looked as bad as if she'd sewn it with her feet. There was a crooked seam across the butt. If she wore that disguise, how could she ever intimidate any enemies? Shang Xiaomei frowned, hugging her fake butt in frustration. Ever since she showed her true form, Yanqi had been keeping his distance. He seemed even more scared of her than when she was wearing that ugly outfit. With no other choice, Shang Xiaomei got up and went to find Yanqi in his room. He was feeding medicine to his grandma. "That's a nice name. Can you sew clothes?" Shang Xiaomei asked him worriedly as soon as she entered. Yanqi paused, holding the medicine bowl. Blushing, he said quietly, "Yes. Can you help me fix my clothes? My sewing is way too ugly." Shang Xiaomei pleaded softly with Yanqi. When she spoke in a gentle voice, her tone was sweet and soft, somehow carrying a hint of tenderness. Yanqi was young and easily embarrassed. It was his first time talking to such a pretty girl. He was already shy. When she spoke, his fair face turned even redder. He was too shy to speak. He just lowered his head and softly said, "Mm." Pretending to be calm, he kept feeding Grandma her medicine. He brought the spoon to Grandma's lips. When he saw her lips barely touch the spoon before she lifted her head, he realized he was holding an empty spoon. Grandma and Shang Xiaomei both laughed at his cluelessness. Their laughter made Yanqi's face even redder. "I'll feed Grandma the medicine. You go fix my clothes." Shang Xiaomei reached for the medicine bowl in Yanqi's hand. Without thinking, her fingertips touched Yanqi's fingers. Yanqi quickly pulled his hand back. The medicine bowl almost fell. Yanqi still couldn't look at Shang Xiaomei. He hurriedly put the spoon into the bowl and fled the room like he was escaping. A minute later, after Grandma Yanqi finished her medicine, she urged Shang Xiaomei, "Go check on him." Shang Xiaomei obediently left. Grandma Yanqi smiled to herself. She turned her head and looked out the window. Her cloudy eyes couldn't see anything, but they held a relieved smile. As soon as Shang Xiaomei opened the door and stepped out, Yanqi's furry beast ears perked up. He was clearly focused entirely on Shang Xiaomei, but pretended not to notice. He kept his head down, his eyes fixed on the clothes. Shang Xiaomei bent down and stood beside him. She didn't say a word, but he still managed to prick his finger. "Are you okay?" Shang Xiaomei saw the drop of blood on his fingertip and asked with concern. Yanqi put his finger in his mouth, flicked his tongue, and licked the blood clean. The bleeding stopped. "You did a great job mending that," Shang Xiaomei said sincerely. In the beast world, supplies were scarce. A piece of clothing had to last for years. Patching up torn clothes and wearing them again was normal for them. Almost everyone here knew how to mend clothes. The places Yanqi had patched, if you didn't look closely, you couldn't even tell they were mended. The stitches blended perfectly with the fabric. Because of Shang Xiaomei's compliment, Yanqi, who had finally gotten his color back, turned red again. Even his earlobes were bright red. After finishing the mending, Shang Xiaomei put her disguise back on, showing her ugly, frightening face. Yanqi finally relaxed. He could face Shang Xiaomei normally now. But the fear from before was gone, replaced by so much more concern. Yanqi and Shang Xiaomei thought Grandma was sleeping, so they didn't bother her at first. Later, when Yanqi went in to cover Grandma with a blanket, the back of his hand touched her cheek. It was ice cold. Startled, he reached out and felt her forehead, still ice cold. Yanqi froze for a moment, then shook Grandma's shoulder, called out to her, "Grandma, wake up." Grandma never woke up. As Yanqi kept calling, His voice started to crack with tears. Shang Xiaomei heard him and rushed over. After confirming that Yanqi's grandma had passed away, a deep sadness filled her heart. She silently stayed by Yanqi's side, gently patting his back. Yanqi was sobbing uncontrollably. Overwhelmed with grief, he turned and buried his face in Shang Xiaomei's shoulder, sobbing, "Grandma's gone. I'm an orphan again." Shang Xiaomei didn't know how to comfort him. All she could say was, "You still have me." Yanqi cried for a long time. Before his sobs had even stopped, sudden shouting came from outside. "That's a nice name. You two need to leave now. The Red Sun Society is here to cause trouble for you." This time they sent the 7 Rakshasas. "If you don't go now, it'll be too late." A few neighbor ladies were shouting as they ran inside from outside. As soon as they entered the room, they were so scared by Shang Xiaomei's appearance that they turned and ran. "A ghost?" Shang Xiaomei stood up. Just as she thought, Liu Shukai had gone to the Red Sun Society in G City for backup. "Mistress, you need to go. The 7 Rakshasas are from the island nation. They know ninjutsu. No one can survive their blades." When Yanqi heard the name 7 Rakshasas, his first instinct was to push Shang Xiaomei away. "They're here for me. I can't leave," Shang Xiaomei said calmly. Just then, the courtyard door was slammed open from outside. The kind aunties who had come to warn them didn't even have a chance to turn back. Before they were trapped in the yard. "No one's leaving. Everyone in this yard dies today." 7 thin men and women, walking in perfect step, stepped through Yanqi's gate. That last line was spoken by all 7 at once. How much practice does it take for 7 people to say the same line perfectly in sync? A group that weird is rare. Ghosts and monsters of the underworld, come out and die. The 7 Rakshasas shouted in unison again. Shang Xiaomei looked totally relaxed, like she was watching actors who had memorized their lines perform on stage. "Mistress, don't go out there." Ever since Yanqi learned Shang Xiaomei's true nature, her terrifying image in his mind had turned into a fragile, weak female. He didn't dare let her go out, facing enemies as fierce as the 7 Rakshasas. "This kid looking down on me, huh?" Shang Xiaomei thought. She might be weak, but she still had ways to deal with the 7 Rakshasas. But Yanqi stepped out before her. "This whole thing started because of me, not the mistress." "Mistress, you know dark arts. Get out of here now." Yanqi pulled out a sword from somewhere. The young man stood tall and straight like a pine or bamboo. He stood fearlessly before the 7 Rakshasas. Shang Xiaomei still remembered 2 days ago, when he was crying in front of her. She didn't expect that in just 2 days. He seemed to have grown up a lot. "You think you're enough to fight us?" The 7 Rakshasas spoke in unison again. Their 7 figures shifted like ghosts, and in the blink of an eye, they stacked on top of each other to form a 3-up, 4-down formation like a human net. All 7 attacked at once, aiming for Yanqi's limbs and heart. Yanqi barely managed to protect his vital organs. His sword had just left its sheath when he was forced back step by step. The 7 Rakshasas' coordination was flawless. Every move Yanqi made was countered, and every time they struck at him, it was like a single being with 3 heads and 6 arms attacking at once. Yanqi couldn't defend against it. Since he couldn't defend, he just took the hits. Even when injured, he didn't retreat. Even when bleeding, he didn't cry out in pain. He fought the 7 Rakshasas with his life on the line. Just as the 7 Rakshasas were about to deliver a fatal blow, the door behind Yanqi suddenly opened. Shang Xiaomei, like teasing a monkey, threw a banana at the 7 Rakshasas. The 7 Rakshasas didn't dare underestimate her. Whatever she threw at them might hold some hidden trick. A few of the Rakshasas actually held back their blades, but one Rakshasa instinctively swung his sword and sliced the banana without hesitation. Swish, swish, the banana was sliced into pieces and scattered on the ground. Shang Xiaomei sneered to herself. People who are overly conditioned have their thoughts and actions become routine. It's like they're programmed with no room to adapt. That's the 7 Rakshasas' weak spot. As expected of the 7 Rakshasas, I heard that if a fly lands in front of you, it gets chopped into pieces. Guess nothing can escape your blades. Shang Xiaomei clearly noticed their rhythm was thrown off, but she didn't look smug at all. Instead, she praised the 7 Rakshasas. With that praise, all 7 Rakshasas' expressions changed. Some looked a bit proud, while others showed concern. Shang Xiaomei spotted the opening and thought to herself, No matter how strict the training, you can't make everyone think alike. The 7 Rakshasas stood ready. But Shang Xiaomei kept up her goofy act. She tossed an apple at them again. The apple was sliced into pieces just the same, feeling like they were being toyed with. Some Rakshasas started to look annoyed. Next came oranges, dragon fruit, strawberries, kiwis, pears. Every fruit she could trade for in her space, Shang Xiaomei threw at them. She kept throwing. And the 7 Rakshasas kept slicing, just like the fruit slicing game she had in mind. Anyone who's played that game knows that bombs can randomly pop up among the fruit. Too bad the 7 Rakshasas didn't know that. They got more comfortable as they went, swinging their blades faster each time. With such a weird fighting style, even Yanqi and the older women nearby were stunned. The fruit scattered on the ground. Some they recognized, some they didn't. But all of it gave off a sweet smell. If the 7 Rakshasas didn't look so fierce, they'd almost think this wasn't a fight, but just slicing fruit for guests. I'll kill her. Finally, one of the 7 Rakshasas couldn't take it anymore. The shame of being toyed with completely threw them off. The ninja's greatest strength is their unusually strong willpower, but if their minds are rattled, their actions easily go wrong. As the first few Rakshasas lost control, Shang Xiaomei picked her moment and tossed out the prepared fruit bombs. Because she was in a hurry, the fruit bombs weren't well disguised. Several of the 7 Rakshasas noticed something was off right away and held back their blades. But the Rakshasa who had been shouting stared at Shang Xiaomei with murderous eyes and slashed hard at the fruit bomb. Boom! The bomb exploded. Everyone within 10 feet was blasted away. The piled-up 7 Rakshasas collapsed in a heap. 5 of them were already down for good. The 2 survivors, badly injured, propped themselves up with their swords, leaning on each other, and stumbled out. They didn't dare slow down for a second. One step too slow, and they'd end up like the other 5, dead with no chance to escape. They had no idea how they lost. Perfect teamwork. But Shang Xiaomei broke it. After dealing with the 7 Rakshasas, Shang Xiaomei helped Yanqi arrange his grandmother's funeral. Yanqi and his grandma had always been each other's only family. Grandma's gone. Yanqi seemed to grow up overnight. On the day of the burial, Yanqi was overwhelmed with grief. He held onto the coffin and walked forward with the pallbearers. Shang Xiaomei stayed hidden in the shadows, quietly protecting them. But just then, as the funeral procession was halfway there, Takeda Shu of the Red Sun Society showed up to cause trouble. He was their last trump card. He wasn't as famous as the 7 Rakshasas, but Shang Xiaomei knew he was way more dangerous. Takeda Shu was a real ninja. His earth escape technique was incredibly advanced. In battle, he'd hide his body in the dirt and fight from underground. Little did he know Shang Xiaomei had been preparing for this day. Before facing the Red Sun Society head-on, she had studied all their top fighters. She already knew how to take them down. When Takeda Shu kicked up dust to block the funeral procession, Shang Xiaomei teleported behind Yanqi and told him, "Keep the procession moving. Leave the rest to me." With tears in his eyes, Yanqi glared at the dust ahead, then nodded firmly. "I'll be back as soon as Grandma is buried. You have to hold on. Don't worry. I'll be fine." As soon as Shang Xiaomei said that, she was already 10 meters away. Ninjutsu has a teleportation technique too, but only the most powerful ninjas can use it. Shang Xiaomei teleported right in front of Takeshita Shu, just to get his attention. She knew every ninja dreams of S-rank techniques. Takeshita Shu was no exception. When one ninja captures another, they can force them to reveal their training methods. Just as Shang Xiaomei expected, Takeshita Shu wanted that S-rank technique so badly. He put aside his mission from the Red Sun Society and went all out chasing her. To buy time, Shang Xiaomei led him around the woods. She planned to wait until the funeral procession left, then face Takeshita Shu in a real fight. Meanwhile, Yanqi was worried about Shang Xiaomei. He kept things simple, and with the 8 pallbearers, quickly buried Grandma. Then he paid them and sent them away from the danger zone. When he went back to find Shang Xiaomei, Takeshita Shu was just losing his patience. He realized Shang Xiaomei's speed was even faster than she'd shown. At this rate, he'd never catch her. So to capture Shang Xiaomei, he had to grab Yanqi first. After spotting Yanqi's location, Takeshita Shu used Earth Release and rushed over fast. The ground in front of Yanqi split open. He tried to run, But a hand like an iron vice grabbed his ankle. That hand flipped Yanqi over. Then Shang Xiaomei arrived. She thought Takashitashi was about to strangle him with a chain. But what she didn't expect was Yanqi did a full 360 in midair and landed perfectly. Because his move was so smooth and cool, Shang Xiaomei didn't hold back her praise. Not bad, kid. The next second, before Yanqi could overthink, Shang Xiaomei pulled him onto a strange vehicle. How strange was it? Yanqi couldn't even describe it. He'd never seen such a weird animal. Then he heard his mistress say, "As long as we're on the ground, Takashitashi will keep grabbing our ankles. So we're taking a motorcycle. Let's see him try now." On the motorcycle, Shang Xiaomei and Yanqi sped through the woods. Takashitashi, who was all about grabbing ankles underground, was totally stunned. Holy crap! This soft, muddy forest used to be his turf. Now the tables had turned. Wherever Shang Xiaomei saw loose dirt, she rode the motorcycle after it. No matter how fast Takashitashi used earth release, he couldn't outrun the motorcycle. She caught up to him again and again, and ran him over with the wheels each time. He was probably coughing up blood underground by now. Shang Xiaomei smirked, seeing that Takashitashi couldn't run anymore. She held the handlebars with one hand, pulled out a gun with the other, and fired several shots into the ground where he was hiding. Only when the ground was stained with blood did she stop. Badly injured, Takashitashi didn't want to keep fighting. He chose to head toward damp ground. He must have figured out that Shang Xiaomei's ride couldn't travel on water. But even though he was good at earth escape, moving through wet soil slowed him down a lot. Shang Xiaomei was about to keep shooting when Yanqi behind her suddenly jumped off the motorcycle. "That's a nice name. What are you doing? Get back here. The Red Sun Gang killed so many of our cat clan back in the day. Today, I'm gonna kill him. To honor our fallen cat clan." Yanqi's eyes narrowed dangerously. An unquenchable flame of hatred lit up his ash-gray eyes. Shang Xiaomei noticed. His claws had suddenly grown several inches. His fingertips turned into sharp talons. As he moved, his body became incredibly agile. Beastmen really are born warriors. Takashitashi kept fleeing. The muddy ground he passed was streaked with a long trail of blood, giving away his position. Yanqi charged forward without fear. When he caught up to Takashitashi, he quickly plunged a hand into the dirt, grabbed him by the neck, and yanked him viciously out of the ground. Takashitashi hit the ground. His body twisted into a strange digging pose, probably from spending so long underground. His body was warped and deformed. His head was flat. His face squashed like it had been hit with a brick. His body and legs were thin like a child's, but his spine stuck out sharply. Shang Xiaomei pulled her foot back in disgust. It was the first time she'd seen someone so deformed. She finally understood what ninjutsu had done to these people. Inhuman torture and a life of being fooled. These human weapons were the island nation's strongest tool for invading the Beast Kingdom. As long as these weapons existed, the island nation's forces would keep a foothold in the Beast Kingdom. The moment Shang Xiaomei got a clear look at Takashitashi, Yanqi decisively pierced his throat with his claws. A dying gasp was Takashitashi's final word. In that last moment, his eyes flew wide open. The blue sky fell into his gaze, having hidden underground his whole life. Who knows if he ever liked the color of the sky? After killing him, Yanqi's eyes turned darker and more determined. But when he looked back at Shang Xiaomei, a smile broke out on his face without him meaning to. On the way back, Shang Xiaomei was already planning how to deal with the remaining Red Sun Society members in G City. They'd lost both their aces to her. They'd definitely get desperate. Since things had come this far, she might as well wipe out the Red Sun Society in G City for good. With that in mind, Shang Xiaomei put her motorcycle back into her space and headed back with Yanqi, walking easy. Yanqi was really curious about the motorcycle and asked Shang Xiaomei, "What kind of animal was that ride? Does it eat grass?" Shang Xiaomei laughed. Mysteriously, she told Yanqi, "It likes to drink oil. Give it oil and it runs. No oil and it stops." "What kind of oil? Can I have one?" See, guys always love cars. Yanqi, a man from the beast world, had never seen a car before. He'd only seen a motorcycle once. And he was already totally obsessed. Shang Xiaomei remembered when she first showed him her real face. He wasn't nearly this interested. "Guess a car beats a person. You can't keep one. They're really hard to handle." If you don't handle it right, you'll flip it. Shang Xiaomei thought she couldn't give him these things now. Once he truly falls for her and restores her health bar, then she'd give him the motorcycle as a bride price. She wouldn't lose out. I'm not afraid of flipping it. Mistress, let me have one. Yanqi gave her a pleading look and begged softly. Shang Xiaomei couldn't resist. She quickly looked away and said, "It's not an animal. It doesn't need to be kept. When the time is right, I'll give you one." Yanqi pressed on. "When is the time right?" Xiaomei suddenly turned around, her dark eyes fixed on him. She pointed a finger at his heart and said in a teasing voice, "When you fall in love with me." Yanqi instantly blushed bright red and stopped asking. When Yanqi and Shang Xiaomei got back, what happened next was unbelievable. The Red Sun Society thugs and all the local punks who followed them had torn down Yanqi's house. Shang Xiaomei and the others had only been gone half a day, and these people, relying on their numbers, had reduced Yanqi's house to rubble. They were only gone for half a day, and the house was already gone. Yanqi couldn't accept what he was seeing. His grandmother had just passed away, and now his home was destroyed. A few neighbor ladies kindly came out to tell Yanqi. "Yanqi, after you left, the Red Sun Society showed up." Yi Zhaojun said, "Your grandmother borrowed money from them 10 years ago and never paid it back. So they took your stuff to cover the debt." "He's lying. My grandmother never borrowed money from the Red Sun Society. Even if she owed just a tiny bit, she'd do everything she could to pay it back quickly. If she couldn't, she'd keep thinking about it." Unable to eat or sleep, Shang Xiaomei watched all this. And she was furious too. But she was calmer than Yanqi. She didn't say a word, but in her mind, she was already planning how to punish these scumbags. "Yanqi, we know you've been wronged, but the Red Sun Society has a lot of people. Even if your wife is a ghost, she can't fight that many. Just accept it. Leave G City for good. Your life is what matters most." The aunties frowned deeply. The kind ones kept trying to talk Yanqi out of it. They knew how tough the Red Sun Society could be, and how ruthless. "I'm not leaving. Even if it costs me my life. I'm getting my grandmother's things back." Yanqi's eyes were bloodshot. The veins on his hands bulged. Even though he was outnumbered, he refused to take this humiliation lying down. The aunties shook their heads helplessly. They all looked at Yanqi with pity. No one supported his decision. They all agreed that if Yanqi kept going against the Red Sun Society, he'd only end up worse off. Just then, Shang Xiaomei was the only one who stood by Yanqi. "Whatever you want to do, I've got your back." When they saw Shang Xiaomei coming over, the aunties all backed away in fear. Only Yanqi didn't move. He turned to look at Shang Xiaomei. He knew that beneath her scary-looking disguise, there was a fragile body. Yanqi didn't want to drag her into this. He was afraid she'd get hurt. "Don't forget, I'm a ghost." Shang Xiaomei could clearly tell that ever since Yanqi saw her true form, he'd been looking down on her. "I don't want to drag you into this." Yanqi lowered his head in shame. He felt like he was the one who got Shang Xiaomei into trouble. "We're family. Your grandmother is my grandmother. They tore down Grandma's house. We deserve an explanation." Hearing her say that, Yanqi's badly shaken heart felt like it was warmed by the sun, and a wave of warmth surged through him. After talking it over with Yanqi, Shang Xiaomei barged straight into the heavily guarded Red Sun Society in G City. The guards at the entrance, who were slouching around all sloppy, immediately put on arrogant faces when they saw Shang Xiaomei and Yanqi. "Do you even know where you are? How dare you try to barge in here? Get lost now." Shang Xiaomei hated these pompous jerks who looked down on ordinary people. Calling them lapdogs was an insult to dogs. She held back her anger and stated her business. "We're here to see Yi Zhaojun." Hearing that, the guards got even more cocky. "Look at yourself, who do you think you are? You think you can just waltz in and see Lord Yi Zhaojun? Get out of here." Yanqi stepped forward to argue with the guards. But as soon as he took one step, a loud bang came from behind him. Looking ahead, the guard had already crumpled to the ground. Right then, there was a bloody hole in the middle of his forehead. Yanqi turned around in shock and saw that strange weapon that took someone out with every shot. Whenever Shang Xiaomei used that weapon, whoever she wanted dead would end up dead. "Let's go." Without even glancing at the fallen guard, Shang Xiaomei led Yanqi further into the Red Sun Society. One guard dead. Everyone else fell in line. No one stopped them along the way. Shang Xiaomei led Yanqi straight into the Red Sun Society's meeting hall in G City. They didn't expect the whole Red Sun Society to be packed in there. Guess they were scared too. They knew monsters weren't to be messed with. Most people, seeing Shang Xiaomei and Yanqi walk in, were too terrified to even stay seated. Pockmarked and Scholar Liu were there too. Pockmarked and his men had already felt the power of the gun. They fell over, chairs and all, in fear. Get up, you disgraceful bunch. After Yi Zhao Jun yelled at Pockmarked and the others, he turned to Shang Xiaomei, forcing a fake smile. May I ask what brings the great monster here? What business do you have? Shang Xiaomei said calmly. I heard my grandma borrowed money from the Red Sun Society. Before she could finish, Scholar Liu jumped in, pulling out a signed IOU. He showed it to them. Here's the IOU. Don't try to deny it. Shang Xiaomei glanced at the amount on the IOU. 1,000 beast coins. She didn't argue. Instead, she asked. You said it yourself. A debt must be paid, that's only right. Why did you tear down our house? Scholar Liu was already nervous. The more nervous he got, the louder he spoke. This is 1,000 beast coins. Do you even have that much money? Since you can't pay up, we have to take something as payment. Shang Xiaomei smiled and said, what if we do have that much money? That's impossible. How could you possibly have that much? Scholar Liu knew Yanqi's family situation inside out. They could barely scrape together 10 beast coins. 1,000 beast coins? Then Yi Zhao Jun spoke up. If you can come up with that much money, we'll compensate you for the house. How? Yanqi quickly asked. Yi Zhao Jun didn't have an answer ready. But Scholar Liu's eyes darted as he came up with a nasty idea. Since we tore down your house, you can tear down ours too. But there's a catch. We tore it down for a certain amount of time. So we'll compensate you for that same amount of time. You can't go over time. You're clearly bullying us. You had so many people tearing it down. And there's only 2 of us. In the same amount of time. How could we tear down as much as you did? Yanqi was furious again, eyes wide with anger. You can get help too. We're not stopping you from finding people. Tell me, everyone. Isn't that fair? Yanqi was both angry and anxious. Everyone in G City was terrified of the Red Eye Society. Who would dare openly help them? Suddenly, Shang Xiaomei made a cold decision. That is fair. Let's do it. Truly a spirit lord. You act with such integrity. As long as you're willing to pay back the money, we will keep our promise and compensate you. Yi Zhao Jun agreed to this immediately. Shang Xiaomei took out a heavy bag of coins from her sleeve. That was 1,000 beast coins. Shang Xiaomei didn't want to waste words with them. So she grabbed Yanqi and left. The moment they stepped out of the Red Sun Society's meeting hall, the hall erupted in laughter. Jun laughed the loudest. I thought this so-called spirit lord was something special. Turns out he's just a brainless fool. Once these narrow-minded people gain the upper hand, they get carried away. So they never realize that to destroy someone, you first let them go mad. After leaving the Red Sun Society, Shang Xiaomei first took Yanqi for a walk around the streets. She was so calm and composed. But Yanqi was already getting anxious. Mistress, if we keep wandering around like this, time will run out. Shang Xiaomei said calmly. I'm scouting the terrain. The Red Sun Society has been plundering the people for years. I just saw that their granaries, banks, and cloth shops are all huge. What's stored inside must be enough for the whole city for years. Yanqi was stunned. Not to mention these places are heavily guarded. Even if we wanted to tear them down, each one is surrounded by several tall walls. The walls are thick and sturdy. How are we supposed to tear them down? Shang Xiaomei said mysteriously. I'm a ghost. What are a few meters of dirt and stone walls? Let's go. First, let's tear down the granary. Xiaomei confidently led Yanqi toward the granary. Because she was so confident, Yanqi's heavy worries slowly calmed down. When they got outside the granary, since they didn't have enough exchange tickets, Shang Xiaomei closed her eyes and reluctantly used 5 health points to trade for a large excavator in her space. When the excavator appeared out of nowhere in front of Yanqi, Yanqi instinctively stepped back in fear. Just the tires of the excavator were 2 meters tall, and the whole machine was 5 or 6 meters high. Shang Xiaomei then climbed on. The deafening roar scared all the city residents on the street out of their homes. Adults, kids, and the elderly all looked like they'd seen a ghost. Both shocked and scared, No one dared get near the excavator. They only watched from a distance, shouting in surprise. What is that monster? Look, it knocked down the wall. That's terrifying. Hey, look. There's someone on top. No. A ghost? There's a ghost inside. A ghost is controlling that monster. The people were buzzing with chatter, too scared to come closer. But the Red Sun Society guards couldn't stay put. They raised their red-tasseled spears and ran furiously toward the excavator. The excavator's spinning wheels had the power to destroy everything. The red-tasseled spears were instantly pulled under the wheels and crushed into pieces, feeling the unstoppable power of modern machinery. The guards were all terrified. No one dared to step forward anymore. The same people who had been laughing at Sheng Xiaomei in the Red Sun Society meeting hall just moments ago now rushed out in a panic. Hurry, stop her now. Yi Zhaojun saw that the granary walls were about to be breached by Sheng Xiaomei, so he shoved the guard in front of him forward without thinking. The guard had barely been pushed ahead when he was crushed by the collapsing wall. His leg was broken on the spot, and he screamed in agony. Yi Zhaojun tried to push more people forward, but the other guards saw what was happening and scattered, hiding away. Now Yi Zhaojun was furious and desperate but helpless. The granary is lost. As Yi Zhaojun spoke, Sheng Xiaomei broke through the last wall of the Red Sun Society's granary. As the rubble collapsed, golden rice poured out along with it. The villagers watching from a distance saw all that grain and stared wide-eyed. To cut his losses, Yi Zhaojun shouted orders for his men to block the townspeople. But with so much grain in sight, who could stay rational? The townspeople were used to being bullied by the Red Sun Society. And now the 7 Rakshasas were dead or wounded. And Wu Tiangshu was dead too. To grab the food, everyone rushed forward all at once. When survival is on the line, people's potential and courage are unleashed. The townspeople who usually swallowed their pride had all turned into fierce warriors. Sheng Xiaomei was pleased with how things were going. She hollowed out the granary wall facing the street, making it easy for everyone to haul away grain. Then she hopped back into the excavator and drove it boldly toward the Red Sun Society's bank. This time, no matter how much Yi Zhaojun wanted to stop Sheng Xiaomei, she failed again. The bank, like the granary, was quickly breached. Next came the fabric shop. The people swarmed in, overjoyed as if they'd reached paradise. Every household came out to grab grain, coins, and cloth. Sheng Xiaomei jumped off the excavator with style and walked toward the devastated Yi Zhaojun. Halfway there, a little girl suddenly darted out and hugged Sheng Xiaomei's leg. Sheng Xiaomei was still in her monster costume, but the girl wasn't scared at all. Little sister, why are you hugging me? The girl smiled with her eyes crinkling. My mom says the monster lord is a god sent from heaven to save us. Is that so? You're not afraid of me? Sheng Xiaomei patted the girl's head and deliberately bared her big mouth. Haha, no. The girl laughed at Sheng Xiaomei's antics. Right after that, Sheng Xiaomei strode up to Yi Zhaojun. Lord Yi Zhaojun, half a day isn't even over yet. As for the time left, I purposely saved it for you, my lord. Yi Zhaojun was shaking with rage, but there was nothing he could do about Sheng Xiaomei. Saved it for me for what? I don't need it. Sheng Xiaomei smiled. Naturally, so you can have a good cry. Yi Zhaojun was so angry he nearly passed out. He clutched his chest and coughed violently. To his surprise, he coughed up blood. Sheng Xiaomei had successfully sparked a city-wide riot in Jicheng. The people of Jicheng, oppressed by the Red Sun Society for decades, all stood up today. But the Red Sun Society in Jicheng had lost. The experts needed to effectively suppress the people. It was now just an empty shell. The Red Sun Society members, who used to bully everyone, were beaten by the people multiple times. They all slunk back into the Red Sun Society's meeting hall. Even Yi Zhaojun retreated there. Qingmu, the deputy who ran the Jicheng Red Sun Society alongside Yi Zhaojun, stepped up to steady their nerves. My lord, where there's life, there's hope. No matter how powerful that monster is, she's just one person. Our Red Sun Society has many experts. Are you afraid we can't handle her? After Yi Zhaojun calmed down, he thought Qingmu made a good point. After all, the Red Sun Society's granaries, banks, and cloth shops in Jicheng didn't belong to Yi Zhaojun personally. That monster was messing with things the higher-ups needed. As long as he reported today's events to the higher-ups, Someone would come down to deal with the ghost realm monster. Qingmu gave him another dose of reassurance. Don't worry, my lord. I've already reported our situation here to Songsha City 100 miles away. The Fangtooth Guard, trained by Kawashima, the Red Sun Society's leader in Songsha City, are famous for being fierce and unstoppable. No matter if she's human or ghost, she's dead for sure. The men below overheard every word of the conversation between Yi Zhaojun and Qingmu. Bruised and battered from the beating, they were suddenly pumped up again, shouting back with fierce energy. Defend Ji Cheng, restore the Red Sun Society. Yan Qi, eavesdropping outside, ran back worriedly to their temporary inn. He told Sheng Xiaomei everything he'd overheard outside the Red Sun Society. After hearing Yan Qi's report, Sheng Xiaomei wasn't the least bit flustered. Instead, she said with amusement, with them? They want to defend Ji Cheng? I already set the bait. Now we just wait for them to take it. Bait? What bait? Yan Qi was totally confused. Sheng Xiaomei smiled. That 1,000 beast coins are the bait I left for them. Now we just wait for them to take it. 1,000 beast coins. Yan Qi muttered under his breath. How did 1,000 beast coins become bait? He wanted to ask more. But Sheng Xiaomei wasn't in the mood to talk about it. She'd been banged up the past couple of days. Especially her left ankle. She didn't know when she'd twisted it. My ankle really hurts. Quick, check if it's swollen. Sheng Xiaomei took off the ghost costume, revealing her delicate body. Hopping on one foot, she whimpered over to the bed. Once she showed her true self, Yan Qi couldn't bring himself to look at her again. He still couldn't figure out how such a fragile little female dared to stand up to the Red Sun Society. Yan Qi forced himself to stop overthinking. He lowered his gaze and stared at Sheng Xiaomei's ankle. It was indeed a little red and swollen. He knelt on one knee in front of her, with a cloth in his hand, and gently cradled her fair foot like a treasure. He played along and said, It is swollen. It hurts so much. What do we do now? Sheng Xiaomei frowned even more. Her bright eyes glistened with tears. Yan Qi's heart suddenly skipped a few beats. At the same time, a strange thought popped into his head. He wanted to keep Sheng Xiaomei in Ji City forever, and never let her go back to the ghost realm. He didn't want the other men to see this soft and charming side of Sheng Xiaomei. Let me rub it for you. Yan Qi's eyes darkened. His words sounded proper, but his heart was racing wildly. He was so nervous his breathing changed. In all his life, he had never been intimate with a woman. When he held Sheng Xiaomei's foot earlier, he even used a cloth as a barrier. But now, he was bold enough to want to use massaging her ankle as an excuse to touch her skin. Though a strong sense of morality held him back, he kept convincing himself inside. She's my wife. I've already married into the ghost realm, so I belong to her. My wife? Of course I can touch her. Sheng Xiaomei clearly didn't have as many hang-ups. Getting treatment and care from a male healer is totally normal. She certainly didn't think Yan Qi rubbing her ankle was a big deal. Go ahead and rub it for me. Even though Sheng Xiaomei was scared of pain, to help her sprain heal faster, she gathered her courage and stretched her foot out to Yan Qi. Yan Qi hesitated for a few seconds before gently holding her ankle. This time, he didn't put a cloth in his palm because he kept his head down. Sheng Xiaomei didn't notice the blush suddenly spreading across his cheeks. She also didn't notice Yan Qi's almost obsessive possessiveness in that moment. In his mind, he and Sheng Xiaomei had been intimate, so she was his now. Easy. Yan Qi thought he was being careful enough, but Sheng Xiaomei still dramatically cried out in pain. And from her trembling body it was clear she really did feel pain. A wife so delicate and charming should be afraid of pain. Her skin is so soft. And now she's hurt. Of course she'd be in pain. And she felt terrible too. Be more careful next time. Don't get hurt again. Yan Qi's touch got even gentler. He looked up and seriously told Sheng Xiaomei. Sheng Xiaomei's voice trembled with pain as she said, I don't even know when I got hurt. I think it was when I jumped off the excavator. The excavator was too high. I shouldn't have tried to act tough. Yan Qi didn't understand what act tough meant, but he knew exactly how high the excavator was. Don't jump down by yourself next time. I can carry you down. Oh, really? Sheng Xiaomei was a bit surprised. Yan Qi's face turned bright red. He avoided Sheng Xiaomei's gaze and buried his head even deeper. He was the one who started flirting with Sheng Xiaomei, and he was also the one getting shy. Yanqi's voice was now as soft as a mosquito's buzz. I just don't want to see you get hurt again. While they chatted, Yanqi massaged Sheng Xiaomei's ankle until it felt looser. After the initial pain passed, the massage didn't hurt as much. Over the next 2 days, Sheng Xiaomei, with her injured ankle, refused to get out of bed unless she had to. She'd cry out in pain as soon as her foot touched the ground. Her delicate nature really surprised Yanqi. His own ghost wife, with a swollen ankle, couldn't walk for days. So fragile and fussy. Not at all like a ghost should be. She was clearly just a soft, pitiful little bunny. A strange thought popped into Yanqi's head again. He didn't want anyone to find out his ghost wife was a weak little bunny. He wanted to keep this secret to himself. What's going on out there? Are the Red Sun Society people causing any trouble? Sheng Xiaomei thought. Her foot was pretty much healed. Time to get down to business, Yanqi told her. There's been a riot in G City the past couple days. When people see the Red Sun Society, it's like seeing a rat. Everyone wants to chase them out. Sheng Xiaomei nodded, satisfied. Good. They probably can't hold out much longer. Hold out what? Yanqi asked, confused. Hold out in G City. Right now, for the Red Sun Society. This city is hell. Some of them must already want to leave. The Red Sun Society people will flee G City, just like they forced other civilians out before. Yanqi was stunned speechless by his wife. He admired Sheng Xiaomei so much. His eyes sparkled when he looked at her. But when she looked back at him, he quickly looked away. Too shy to meet her eyes, Sheng Xiaomei kept breaking down the situation, clearly and thoroughly. With the whole city in chaos, guys like Scholar Liu and pockmarked Zhang, those bullies who used to push people around, they'll be hunted by everyone now. They're having the hardest time. If they can't stay in G City, they'll leave. People like them definitely won't leave empty-handed. Looks like the fish is about to bite. Sheng Xiaomei looked down at her feet, healing nicely. Looks like it's time for the final blow. Half a day later, just as Sheng Xiaomei had predicted, something really went down at the Red Sun Society. They were planning to save their strength to hold G City's Red Sun Society and wait for Yi Zhaozhun's reinforcements from Matsushita City. But he suddenly lost his mind. Burning with rage, he charged in with all his men. You evil ghost! I'll fight you to the death. The guy who used to be so careful with his life, always hiding in the back, had a complete personality change. The moment he saw Sheng Xiaomei, he wanted to go all out against her. He swung a silver-white curved blade in his hand. The blade was hard, with an edge as thin as a cicada's wing. When swung, it screeched like a crane's cry. Its fierce aura sending chills down your spine. Yanqi was terrified Yi Zhaozhun might hurt Sheng Xiaomei. As the blade got close, like protecting a helpless little baby, he firmly shielded Sheng Xiaomei behind him. Sheng Xiaomei was a bit speechless. That ever since Yanqi saw her true form, he'd been treating her like a fragile vase. That's a nice name. Move aside. Before Sheng Xiaomei could even say, Yi Zhaozhun can't hurt me, Yi Zhaozhun's curved blade came slashing down at Yanqi's head. Even though Yanqi could barely handle Yi Zhaozhun's fierce attacks, his body stood firm, blocking Sheng Xiaomei without budging an inch. As Yi Zhaozhun's attacks grew more intense, just like in a TV drama, he foolishly tried to catch the blade with his bare hands. He grabbed Yi Zhaozhun's curved blade with his palm. In an instant, bright red blood poured down along the blade. Sheng Xiaomei was stunned, her eyes wide. She couldn't imagine how much pain Yanqi was in. Sheng Xiaomei, who's even scared of needles, would never try to catch a blade with her bare hands. Is Yanqi crazy? That's a nice name. Let go. Just watching hurt Sheng Xiaomei, let alone Yanqi. But Yanqi didn't listen to her. Instead, he gripped Yi Zhaozhun's blade even tighter. He kicked out, sending Yi Zhaozhun flying. He even wrenched the curved blade away. Sheng Xiaomei saw Yanqi turn the blade around, gripping the handle. He didn't even cry out in pain. He stood firm in front of her, protecting her. Yanqi turned his head and gave her a loving look, softly comforting her. It's okay. The bone isn't broken. You heartless monster who kills without blinking. I'll kill you. To avenge my son, Yi Zhaozhun, out of control, had just gotten up from the ground and started screaming hysterically at Sheng Xiaomei again. Sheng Xiaomei was sure things were even worse than she thought. Then she spoke up. Kill me if you want, but make sure you're killing the right person. Your son will die with his eyes open. Sheng Xiaomei's harsh move hit the mark perfectly. The out-of-control Yi Zhaojun froze instantly. It took him a moment to figure out what Sheng Xiaomei meant. Killed the wrong person. How could I kill the wrong person? Besides you. Who else would kill my son? Who else has the skill to sneak into my private vault? Scholar Liu then angrily accused Sheng Xiaomei. You killed the young master. You vicious demon. Sheng Xiaomei noticed that Scholar Liu's expression was very strange. He seemed nervous, but his eyes showed a determination she'd never seen before. Looks like he's already made up his mind to frame Sheng Xiaomei for this. More and more attendants stepped forward to accuse Sheng Xiaomei. One attendant even searched Sheng Xiaomei's room on the spot and found the 1,000 beast coins she had given Yi Zhaojun. Yi Zhaojun grabbed after confirming it was the same 1,000 beast coins Sheng Xiaomei had given him. He confronted her again, caught red-handed. You sneaky demon! You have the guts to do it but not to admit it? Facing all those accusations on the spot, Sheng Xiaomei showed no sign of panic. You all have mouths, so you gang up to blame me. But don't forget, I'm a ghost. Whether I stole the money or killed anyone, you don't get to decide. The money does. My money can talk. It'll tell you who really stole your treasury. Money? Money can talk? How does money talk? My lord, don't let her fool you. Scholar Liu must have sensed trouble, so he stepped forward first. But Sheng Xiaomei didn't give him a chance to stop her. She teleported and snatched the money pouch from Yi Zhaojun in a flash. Then, in front of everyone, she pulled out the beast coins she had rigged beforehand. Inside those beast coins, she had hidden recording devices. Sheng Xiaomei had hidden iron in those coins. Now she held a magnet in her palm. And as her hand glided over the thousands of coins, the fake ones jumped right into her hand. That freaked out the crowd again. The coins actually moved. Could they really talk? Sheng Xiaomei picked up one of the fake coins and activated the recording device hidden inside. A clear voice came out of the coin. We can't stay here anymore. There's only one way out. Rob Yi Zhaojun's treasury and take the money and run. Everyone could tell. It was clearly Scholar Liu's voice. Those voices terrified the people around, more than hearing Scholar Liu's voice. They were shocked. The coins really could talk. Scholar Liu was terrified. No, that's not me talking. It's a ghost's trick. But the voice from the coins not only sounded exactly like him, but even had the same tone. And it didn't stop there. The coins kept talking. Scholar Liu is right. There's no place for us here anymore. Our only choice is to take the money and run. This time everyone heard it clearly. The voice from the coins was big pockmarks. Then a chorus of agreement followed. Let's do it. Rob Yi Zhaojun's treasury in the chaos. Escape G City. These voices belonged to the thugs who followed Scholar Liu. Then, one after another, the coins played. The sounds of Scholar Liu and his gang, fighting as they robbed Yi Zhaojun's treasury. And the argument when Yi Zhaojun's son caught them in the act of stealing. And then Scholar Liu and his men, going all the way, killed Yi Zhaojun's son. They had planned ahead to pin it all on Sheng Xiaomei. Scholar Liu was still arguing his case, but Sheng Xiaomei loved watching the wicked squirm. She smiled and said, from what the coins played, when you fought the young master, you got hurt too. If we heard right, Scholar Liu, you were wounded in the left shoulder. Big pockmark got his head busted open. So, was it you who killed the young master? We'll find out soon enough. Yi Zhaojun was thinking the same thing. Grab them. Check for wounds. Seeing the tide had turned, Scholar Liu dropped the act. With a vicious look, he turned on them. Yi Zhaojun's camp split into two sides. One side followed Yi Zhaojun. The other followed Scholar Liu. Now that Yi Zhaojun knew the truth, driven by grief for his son, he went straight for Scholar Liu without a word. With no way out, Scholar Liu had to fight Yi Zhaojun to the death. The Red Sun Society of G City turned on each other from then on. Amid their cries of battle, the evil force that had ruled G City for decades finally met its end. In the time that followed, with the Red Sun Society gone, Sheng Xiaomei unexpectedly became the ruler of G City. The people of G City even changed what they called her. Instead of Monster, they now called her Lord Monster. Whenever she went out, the townspeople would crowd around her. Adults, kids, and the elderly. When they saw her, they'd not only greet her, but right in front of her, they'd ask weird questions. Great Ghost, Do you really have 5 husbands? Do you all cuddle together at night? Shang Xiaomei couldn't answer. So the kids would chase after her, asking over and over. She felt her reputation as a monster was seriously threatened. So she turned around and tried to scare them with a mean face. But they weren't scared at all. They just covered their mouths and giggled. The people of G City even started rebuilding Yankee's house on their own. In just 2 days, the house was already taking shape. Shang Xiaomei saw that things in G City were pretty much handled, and Yankee's house was being rebuilt. She figured it was time for her to go back and check on things. She'd never been away from Dust-Sealed Island this long. Once she had the idea of going back, Shang Xiaomei couldn't wait to find Yanqi. That's a nice name. Things here are pretty much taken care of. I should head back too. What about you? Do you want to come back with me? Or stay in G City? Yanqi didn't hesitate. Of course I'm coming back with you. I thought you might want to stay in G City, since this is your home. Hearing that, Yanqi looked down, nervously drawing circles on the ground with his toe. He said something quietly. What did you say? Shang Xiaomei didn't catch what he said. She leaned in a little closer to ask. Yanqi spoke a bit louder. This time, Shang Xiaomei finally heard him clearly. He said, "This is just my family home." Suddenly, the air seemed to get sweeter. Shang Xiaomei smirked. She wasn't about to let him down. Then let's go. Let's go home. Shang Xiaomei took Yanqi's long hand. It was the first time she'd ever held a boy's hand. She wanted to be the one in control. She didn't want Yanqi to see she had no idea what she was doing. But her nervousness gave her away. After just a moment, her palms started sweating. Shang Xiaomei couldn't take it and wanted to let go. But the moment her fingers loosened, Yanqi held her hand tighter. He held on firmly, not giving her any chance to escape. Neither of them said a word, both knowing what the other felt. They were both nervous, both shy. But the trip to G City seemed like a success. It actually drained a lot of her health bar. The excavator used up 5 points of her health. Now, only 14% was left. A sense of crisis hit Shang Xiaomei. She thought she had to restore her health as soon as possible. Soon, they returned to the island. Her four-beast husbands had already built brand new wooden cabins. Each of them chose a different spot for their cabin. But they all had one thing in common. They were all a distance away from Shang Xiaomei's villa. When Yanqi came back to build his cabin, they thought he'd do the same as them. To their surprise, Yanqi not only chose a spot closest to the monster to build his house, but also spent all his time around the monster, calling her mistress left and right. It was just too creepy. As for the spot Yanqi chose, how close it was to the monster's house. To put it bluntly, there was basically no distance at all. But Shang Xiaomei was still really curious about Zizi. She heard the merfolk have a very strange trait. They don't develop into male or female until they come of age. Their gender is determined by who they fall in love with. If they love a woman, they become male. Shang Xiaomei also heard that merfolk are the most devoted. They only fall in love once in their lives. Once is a lifetime. In other words, once they change gender for someone, they'll love that person forever. And male merfolk are born with Tukun. Zizi was the first merperson she'd ever met. Out of sheer curiosity, she couldn't resist finding a chance to have Yanqi call Zizi over to her. When Shang Xiaomei gave Yanqi the order, he asked with a hint of displeasure, "Mistress, what do you want with him?" Shang Xiaomei smiled. "I have a few questions to ask him." Yanqi pressed on, unwilling to let it go. "What questions?" Just some questions about his body. I'm just really curious." Yanqi didn't know what body meant. After a moment's hesitation, he headed toward Zizi's cabin. Shang Xiaomei waited anxiously for a bit. Finally, she saw Zizi with Yanqi accompanying him, coming her way. Once Yanqi had walked off, she went back to asking about what interested her. "So before you guys differentiated, did you have that thing?" As thick-skinned as Shang Xiaomei was, her cheeks still flushed uncontrollably. But Zizi just looked confused and asked her back, "What thing?" "That thing. For a guy?" Zizi suddenly stared at Shang Xiaomei with burning eyes. "Mistress, maybe you should check for yourself," because she'd heard that mermaid husbands are born with two. The girl got curious and wanted to see for herself. But her cat husband got jealous on the side. "Why did you bring him here? What about my barbs? Don't you want to see those too, mistress?" It's about his body. I'm just really curious. The boy didn't know what body meant, but he knew he wanted to make his mistress happy. So he honestly brought Zizi over. Once Yanqi had walked off, Shang Xiaomei asked Zizi in a very serious tone, "How do you guys differentiate?" Zizi had probably been asked the same question before, so he didn't feel embarrassed. "Mistress, just like beastmen grow their final fangs when they come of age, we merfolk only differentiate our gender after we grow up. A merman's body only differentiates when he meets someone he loves. If we fall in love with a man, we differentiate into a female body. If we fall in love with a woman, we differentiate into a male body." Hearing this, Shang Xiaomei's eyes widened in amazement. She couldn't wait to ask Zizi, "So you haven't differentiated yet?" Then she got a definite answer. In no time, she went back to asking about what interested her. "So before you guys differentiated, did you have that thing?" As thick-skinned as Shang Xiaomei was, her cheeks still flushed uncontrollably. But Zizi just looked confused and asked her back, "What thing? For a guy?" Shang Xiaomei's face was burning up. This time, Zizi finally got it. He nodded, then shook his head. It was like he answered without answering. Shang Xiaomei was too embarrassed to ask again. So she switched to the next question. "So are your elders flat or?" Zizi suddenly stared at Shang Xiaomei with burning eyes. "Mistress, maybe you should check for yourself." Shang Xiaomei didn't expect to get turned around like that. She was speechless. For a long time, she couldn't think of how to fire back. "If the mistress has nothing else, I'll take my leave." Zizi's face stayed as calm as ever. "Fine. You can go." Shang Xiaomei agreed reluctantly. After Zizi left, Yanqi immediately came back to Shang Xiaomei, seeing her distracted. His voice dripped with jealousy. "Mistress, what did you talk to him about? Why do you look like you've lost your soul?" Shang Xiaomei quickly denied it. "Nothing. I didn't." Just then, Wang suddenly walked over from a distance. Wang is from the Fox clan. The Fox clan is known for having the best looks, and they're also famous for their charm magic. Before he even got close, Yanqi's jealousy grew even stronger. What's he doing here? Shang Xiaomei also became wary. Out of these 5 men, she was actually most wary of Wang, because the Fox clan has such a bad reputation. Besides using their looks to please others and playing with people's feelings, the Fox clan also has a very despised organization, the Red Sleeve Alliance. The members of the Red Sleeve Alliance are all carefully selected charmers from the Fox clan. These people train from a young age in various seduction techniques, disguising themselves as whatever their target likes. They slowly infiltrate their target's life. Their targets include people from all beast clans, and even people from the island nation. Since Shang Xiaomei came to the beast world, she's already witnessed several cases like this. Some of those targets lived with Red Sleeve Alliance members for decades, only to be killed by their own husband or wife. Their children watched their parents kill each other. You can imagine how painful that is. Wang came to the island with Yanqi and the others. When it comes to looks and mannerisms, he's the most outstanding. It's not that he's actually more handsome than the others, but he's the best at showing off and using his charm. His style, behavior, and appearance are always the most eye-catching, and the most likely to catch a woman's attention. And although Yanqi didn't want to, he couldn't stop Wang from coming over. He could only sit meekly at Shang Xiaomei's feet, resting his head on her leg to get some attention. Wang's gaze only briefly swept over Yanqi. He understood right away. Yanqi had already fallen for the ghost. When it comes to fighting, the Fox clan is weak. But when it comes to brains, the Fox clan is the smartest among all the beast clans. Wang wasn't naive. After seeing Yanqi's feelings for the ghost, he just questioned Yanqi's taste. He thought about the intel he had related to G City, and seeing Yanqi's lovesick look at the ghost, he immediately guessed, there must be something we don't know. Wang's mind was racing, but his face stayed calm. The thing he brought up was also an important matter that Shang Xiaomei and the others had missed. "Mistress, it's time to give us the antidote." Not sure if Wang was deliberately playing weak in front of Shang Xiaomei, or if he was used to being submissive. He knelt down to report to her. "Antidote? Oh, right. I'll go get the antidote for you now." Shang Xiaomei just remembered that last time she tricked them into thinking cola was poison, and they had to drink the antidote every 7 days. Today was the 8th day. If Wang hadn't brought it up, she would have completely forgotten about it. Shang Xiaomei first helped Wang up from the ground. She only lightly touched his arm. and her hand got stained with something. Wang's body had a light, fresh scent. The fragrance was subtle and alluring. Shang Xiaomei's fingertips felt a faint burning sensation. A slight, almost imperceptible tingling spread from her fingertips through her whole body. The feeling was very strange, as if she had shared actual skin-to-skin contact with Wang. Luckily, the feeling wasn't strong. Shang Xiaomei didn't have time to think. She hurriedly opened the door to get the antidote. That face-scanning door could only be opened by her. Right then, in a hidden corner, Gixing, who seemed to be repairing the road, watched the door open and close automatically. He quietly tucked an oval-shaped stone into his sleeve with his martial arts skills. When the door opened, he wedged the stone into the gap, easily preventing the door from closing. As long as the door was left slightly ajar, he could find a chance to sneak into the monster's house. Then he would finish her off with one strike, avenging his dead parents. Shang Xiaomei was busy preparing the antidote for them. Unaware that danger was already approaching, she exchanged another large bottle of cola from her space. To make this black liquid seem precious, she copied what she'd seen in TV shows and poured 5 cups of cola using the smallest cups. Then, carrying them on a tray, she brought the 5 cups of terrifying black liquid outside. Wang and Yankee were the first to drink the antidote. Then Gixing and Zizi came over and drank theirs too. Only Shilly came back from the fields after dark. He tilted his head back and drank the antidote. Then he turned around and went back to work. What they didn't know was, Wang, the first one to rush for the antidote, actually never swallowed it. He found a secluded spot and spat out all the antidote from his mouth. The reason he did this was just to confirm his own suspicions. As someone good at reading people, the first time he heard the ghost mention the black liquid was poison, he already had doubts. If he hadn't brought it up, the ghost clearly would have forgotten about the antidote. Plus, it had been 8 days since the last time they were poisoned, and their bodies showed no signs of anything wrong. If it were really a deadly poison, they would have shown symptoms by now. Wang risked spitting out the antidote, just to find out for sure whether the ghost had actually poisoned them. He had to be the first one to fully understand their ghost lady's true nature. As the best charmer in the Red Sleeve Alliance, he had to become the one who could control the ghost's power. Back on Dust-Sealed Island, Shang Xiaomei had nothing to do. Before, she'd occasionally cook for herself. But now with Yankee around, he took care of everything for her. Yankee carefully prepared every meal for her. Compared to the Beastmen, who ate 3 or 4 big bowls per meal, Shang Xiaomei could only eat 1 small bowl. In Yankee's eyes, even a 3-year-old ate more than Shang Xiaomei. Mistress, eat more. You'll look better with a little meat on your bones. Yankee only had eyes for Shang Xiaomei during dinner. Because he was so focused on Shang Xiaomei's frail body, he couldn't help but say that to her. But as soon as Yankee said that, the whole room suddenly went dead quiet. Gixing glanced over at Guiguai's huge waist and butt that barely fit on the stool, and started wondering if Yankee had been hit by some kind of spell, making him see things differently from reality. When he realized everyone's reaction was off, Yankee quickly tried to cover it up with an explanation. To me, Mistress is the thinnest. Wang sat in the farthest corner, seeming to have the least presence. But she caught every tiny expression on Yankee's face. When he looked at Shang Xiaomei, that pure admiration, his eyes practically sparkling with pink bubbles. It was clearly real affection. Beastmen are creatures of true emotion. Their love and desire come straight from the heart. And they're the most straightforward. Loving beauty, admiring strength, pitying the weak. Any of these feelings could spark the start of affection. What does Guiguai fit into? That look in Yankee's eyes, mixing care and adoration, is something only the strong feel when cherishing the weak. Plus, his clumsy words just now. Wang could only think of 2 possibilities. Either Guiguai isn't actually that powerful, or her terrifying appearance is all fake. Based on the intel they had, Guiguai's strength was undeniable. So it had to be the second option. In other words, Guiguai's current look is all a disguise. Since she'd figured it out, he should take the chance to launch his psychological attack. Meanwhile, Yankee grew up in Jicheng. Since he got beaten up every day, he knew best how to win a fight. But when it came to pleasing a girl, he had no clue at all. To impress Shang Xiaomei, he noticed she barely ate. He figured the food just wasn't to her taste. That night, he caught over a dozen rats. He skinned and cleaned them, then roasted them over the campfire. That was the best food he could think of. After Shang Xiaomei went back to her room, she lit up her windproof ghost fire again. And she placed it outside. At first, no one dared to get close. They were wary of the ghost fire. Later, they saw Yankee grilling meat under the bright ghost fire. Since the ghost fire was as bright as daylight, it made nighttime activities easier. They gradually stopped being afraid. They gathered around the ghost fire. Why is this ghost fire so bright? If I could light one in the fields, I could keep working at night. Shilly circled around Shang Xiaomei's lamp a few times. That's what he ended up thinking. Zizi also whispered in admiration. This ghost fire is brighter than the mermaid's night pearls. It doesn't flicker in the wind. It doesn't go out in the rain. It's as bright as day. It's truly amazing. Even Wang, who was almost too clever, was stunned by the ghost fire hanging overhead. And Shang Xiaomei, who had accidentally fallen asleep on the couch, she just woke up now. Shang Xiaomei didn't know what Yanqi was roasting. She just smelled an amazing barbecue scent. It made her mouth water. Shang Xiaomei couldn't sit still. She ran downstairs with a clatter. She went into the yard. Staring at the meat in Yanqi's hands, she said, "That smells so good. Can I eat it yet?" Yanqi handed her the juicy roasted rat meat. "Try it. See if it's good." The aroma made Shang Xiaomei's cravings kick in. She grabbed the meat and took a big bite. The meat was rich and flavorful, tender and juicy. It was incredibly delicious. Shang Xiaomei chewed and gave Yanqi a thumbs up. "So good. What kind of meat is this?" "Rat meat. Rat meat is the best." Proud of the compliment, Yanqi said happily. "Holy crap. Having seen rats countless times, crawling in filthy gutters, Shang Xiaomei suddenly started vomiting. She threw up harder and harder. She even brought up last night's dinner. Just a moment ago, thrilled by her praise, Yanqi froze up. The meat in his hand fell to the ground. His smile was replaced by panic. Just as he moved to help Shang Xiaomei, Wang, who had been quiet, was already in front of her. "Mistress, rinse your mouth." Wang seemed to have sensed it coming. He had warm water ready without her even asking. Shang Xiaomei didn't hold back. All she wanted right now was to rinse her mouth. Wang really knew how to take care of someone. She picked up the cup and took a big gulp of water. Because she moved too fast, the mask got creased. The tacky bright red lips lifted up a bit. Wang quietly caught a glimpse of the soft, glossy pink lips under the monster mask. Then he looked away just as calmly, thinking to himself, just as I guessed. He just didn't know how beautiful the real face under the monster mask actually was. To make Yanqi so obsessed. For Wang, people who get lost in beauty and love are the biggest fools in the world. He would never fall for a monster, whether she had a terrifying, ugly face or a stunningly gorgeous one. To him, it was all the same. The Fox clan had survived this long only because they always kept a clear head and the ambition to use the strong to climb higher. But still, this monster was different somehow. Very different. Yanqi had never met anyone like her. Because after she took the water from Wang and rinsed her mouth, she actually said thank you to him. Thanks. That word was unfamiliar to the Fox clan. Because in the eyes of all Beastmen, they were the lowest and most worthless. No one ever said thank you to them. Just like when others saw the ghost, none of them knelt down to her. But Wang instinctively knelt in front of her. The Fox clan, they seemed born to be inferior. They were always the ones trying everything to please other Beastmen. So even the clever Wang, when he heard the ghost say thank you, was a bit slow to react. He paused before saying, "You're welcome." Shang Xiaomei had thrown up quite a bit. She wasn't used to ordering people around. She was about to clean up her own mess. But Wang was faster. He covered the vomit with dry dirt. While he did this, the other men didn't react at all. But even though Wang worked so hard, in Geeking's eyes, it was just a way to win her over. What a suck-up. Typical of the Fox clan, Gixing shot Wang a disdainful glance. Each of the 5 of them knew exactly why. They had married into the ghost realm. Never mind Yanqi. Wang definitely wasn't forced into this marriage. Gixing knew that without even checking, since he had his own agenda like everyone else. Why act so humble to win the ghost's favor? What a groveling sycophant. Gixing was the last person to hide his intentions. If he were absolutely sure he could kill the ghost, he would have done it already. Why bother playing nice with them? And in stark contrast to Geeking's contempt, was Yanqi's sense of danger. Wang is way too smart. Smart enough to see through everything. Yanqi isn't afraid of him stealing the spotlight, or of him sucking up to the ghost. But he's afraid Wang will see through the mistress's disguise. Afraid he'll fall for the mistress just like he did. And then compete with him for her affection. He's afraid he can't win against Wang. No, he's already lost. Mistress! Yanqi ran behind Shang Xiaomei in fear. He pulled her aside and held her close, not wanting anyone to see her. But Shang Xiaomei stumbled from his pull, almost falling. What's wrong? Shang Xiaomei didn't understand. She was the one who ate the rat meat. Why was he so scared? I need to ask you something. Yanqi deliberately blocked Wang behind him, so Shang Xiaomei couldn't see him. My house isn't built yet. I have nowhere to stay tonight. Yanqi carefully watched Shang Xiaomei's eyes as he spoke. Even though those pitch-black eyes showed no emotion, he still instinctively tried to read her feelings. From her slightest reactions, he wanted to be like Wang, able to quickly pick up on others' emotions and know exactly what they wanted. It's funny. Yanqi used to be like the other Beastmen, looking down on the Fox clan's ways, their shameless talent for pleasing others. But now he wished he could learn from Wang. He wanted so badly to win the mistress's favor. He wanted to win her affection, to become her most favored husband. He wanted to be the mistress's first man. But he was afraid of upsetting her. He had held back those words for so long. If Wang hadn't pushed him, he might never have had the courage to say them. Although Shang Xiaomei only hesitated a moment before giving her answer, that brief wait felt like being fried in oil to Yanqi. Luckily, Shang Xiaomei's answer was what he wanted. He had finally gotten one step ahead of Wang. Then you sleep downstairs, Shang Xiaomei said. Truth was, Shang Xiaomei also wanted to recharge her health. But Yanqi still hadn't confessed his feelings to her. She didn't dare take the risk. After calming Yanqi down, Shang Xiaomei was still hungry. She didn't dare eat the rat meat. And there was nothing else to eat. Just as Shang Xiaomei was thinking of using a voucher to trade for some food, a sizzling hot chive pancake appeared in front of her. During the day, Yanqi had put chive seasoning in the dish. Shang Xiaomei had just deliberately picked out some chives to eat. And Wang had noticed she liked them. As for the flatbread, Shang Xiaomei didn't even remember saying during the day, if only I had a flatbread to wrap these wild greens in, that'd be perfect. They say the Fox clan is good at charming and flattering. Who can deny that always keeping someone's likes and dislikes in mind and acting on them is a skill? It really can be off-putting. Thanks. Shang Xiaomei was genuinely touched this time. Not just because Wang gave her the perfect food, but because of his thoughtful care. Back in the modern world, she had care from family, friends, and fans. But these 2 years in the beast world, she had to adapt to a completely strange place alone and endure endless loneliness. Wang's perfect gesture, the food made with her in mind. How could she dismiss his feelings as just flattery? This was her second time saying thanks to Wang. He still wasn't used to it. Like before, he paused for a moment before answering, "You're welcome." But just as Shang Xiaomei took a bite of the chive flatbread, Yanqi suddenly lost control and knocked it out of her hand. It happened so fast that everyone, including Shang Xiaomei, was stunned. Shang Xiaomei looked regretfully at the flatbread on the ground, then looked up and asked Yanqi. If her eyes weren't hidden by the mask, Yanqi would have noticed the anger in them. "Mistress, if you want chive flatbread, I can make it for you. I'll make it right now." Don't eat his. Shang Xiaomei's feelings were complicated. Yanqi liked her, and his possessiveness was a good sign. But his disrespectful behavior definitely needed to be addressed. Beastmen in the beast world live in harsh conditions. They respect only the strong. If you don't like it, you fight. If that kind of attitude gets brought to Dust-Sealed Island, who knows how much trouble it'll cause? Shang Xiaomei felt like a teacher on her first day, pushed to grab a ruler by unruly kids. Kneel. Snapping out of it, she did something unexpected. She yelled at Yanqi. All 5 men dropped to their knees at once. Yanqi knelt at the front. Seeing Shang Xiaomei angry, he realized his actions had upset her. "Mistress. I'm sorry. Don't call me mistress anymore. I don't deserve that from you." To make sure they learned their lesson, Shang Xiaomei had to handle this seriously. Then she spoke up. "Till I say otherwise, you will call me Shang Xiaomei. My husband must be a gentleman with virtue and humility. Someone lacking in character is not worthy of me." Shang Xiaomei looked down at the kneeling men, her tone growing harsher. "Since you're on Dust-Sealed Island, you follow its rules. One of the most important rules here is that everyone must get along. Anyone who hurts a companion will be kicked off the island immediately. To them, Shang Xiaomei was already a mysterious, terrifying monster. Their fear of her hadn't disappeared. Now that they saw her angry, they couldn't help but feel a chill down their spines. Yankee knew he had messed up big time. More than being scared, he was worried that Shang Xiaomei would be mad and ignore him. To earn her forgiveness, right after she finished speaking, he immediately threw himself at her feet, tightly hugging his mistress's legs, and quickly started apologizing. "Mistress, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. I'll apologize to him. Please don't be mad at me, okay?" Shang Xiaomei's legs were trapped by his hug, and she couldn't even walk away. She looked down and saw his tear-filled eyes and reddened eyelids, crying like a mess. The anger she had felt just now had already vanished somewhere. "I told you to call me by my name from now on," Shang Xiaomei said, keeping a straight face, not wanting to give in so quickly. But Yankee wouldn't listen. "You're my mistress, and I'm calling you mistress. I won't let you call me that," Shang Xiaomei said, trying to assert her authority, and grabbed Yankee by the collar, forcefully stopping him. Yankee was like a stray cat being scolded by its owner. Already insecure, he cried even harder. "But I only have you. Please don't abandon me." Shang Xiaomei took a deep breath and let go weakly. She wanted to be tough, only by setting the rules from the start. "Can you manage things later?" But the first one to break them was Yankee. He was the youngest, and still immature. Shang Xiaomei yelling at him didn't teach him a lesson. It just scared him. "Don't do that again. Get along with your brothers. What you did just now can't happen again." Seeing Yankee cry so hard, Shang Xiaomei couldn't bear to scare him more. Yankee nodded eagerly. Seeing that Shang Xiaomei forgave him, he quickly wiped his tears with the back of his hand, grinned, his eyes still red, and gave Shang Xiaomei his brightest smile. He remembered his grandma saying that boys look ugliest when they cry, and best when they smile. He only wanted Shang Xiaomei to see him at his best. "What should you do now?" Shang Xiaomei, like a good teacher, patiently guided Yankee. He caught on right away. He turned and bowed to Wang to apologize. "I'm sorry, Wang. I shouldn't have done that." As soon as he finished, Wang quickly replied, "Brother Yankee is young and honest. He just acted on impulse. It's not really a mistake. Can you forgive me?" Yankee asked sincerely, but behind Shang Xiaomei's back, the look he gave Wang was sinister and cold. Wang, facing Shang Xiaomei, smiled back at Yankee. Not only did he not blame Yankee, but he personally helped him up from the ground. "Brother Yankee, what are you saying? I'm not even mad at you. There's nothing to forgive." "Thanks." As expected of Wang, so open-minded, Shang Xiaomei was pleased. "It's never too late to correct your mistakes." Shang Xiaomei thought back to Yankee's behavior. It really was very rude. She felt bad about it. She looked at Wang and sincerely apologized to him herself. "Wang, what happened just now was Yankee's fault, but he only lost his cool because of me. Don't hold it against him. I'll keep him in line from now on." Shang Xiaomei's eyes were full of regret. Even her tone carried the humility of someone asking for forgiveness. She wasn't just going through the motions, nor was she being two-faced like Yankee. She was genuinely apologizing to Wang. And because it was genuine, Wang was at a loss for words. He was more used to apologies like Yankee's outward submission, but behind the scenes, contempt and threats. It's Wang actually stammered. "Thank you for forgiving him." Shang Xiaomei thanked Wang once again. Once again, Wang, all year round, rarely heard anyone say thank you to him. He was more used to being bossed around, mocked and scorned. "You're welcome." This time, Wang answered smoothly. But inside, he still couldn't get used to it. Gishing and the others, watching from the sidelines, didn't dare make a sound. This was the first time since they arrived on the island that the spirit had lost her temper in front of them. It looked scary. But really, it was all bark and no bite. She didn't punish anyone. "You all go back to sleep. It's already late." With her there, they couldn't relax anyway. Since things had already turned unpleasant, she might as well just send them off to bed. As soon as Shang Xiaomei gave the order, Gishing and the others stood up and respectfully withdrew. Yankee was the only one who didn't leave, and even pushed his luck by moving closer to Shang Xiaomei. "Mistress, have you really forgiven me?" "I forgive you." "Really, really, 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 really? Really, really?" Then can I sleep in your room tonight? Fine, you sleep on the first floor. Mistress, you are so good. I told you. Don't call me mistress. Then what should I call you? Call you sister? Yankee deliberately lowered his voice, his tone as flirtatious as if he were seducing her. The atmosphere suddenly shifted. Shang Xiaomei frowned. Though her heart was stirred, she couldn't face being teased like this by a younger guy. You're so young. Where'd you learn to be so bad? I grew up in G City. How could I not learn to be bad? Before Grandma took me in to get a meal, Yankee suddenly stopped. What's wrong? You weren't bullied, were you? Seeing that Shang Xiaomei wasn't as angry as before, Yankee knew he'd achieved his goal. Then, with a dejected look, he said, in a place like G City, getting bullied was normal. But I always just played along with them. Agreed to call them sister. I never agreed to anything else. He deliberately explained so much. And Shang Xiaomei could tell. He was trying to show her that he was still innocent. Is this the right time? Shang Xiaomei's eyes uncontrollably scanned Yankee's perfectly sculpted neck, his lean waist, and his long legs. Come in. Shang Xiaomei felt flustered. The time did seem right. But she chickened out. Good thing she was wearing a mask. Otherwise, her ever-changing expression would have been seen by Yankee. Yankee, who had ulterior motives, stepped into Shang Xiaomei's room. His attention was instantly caught by Shang Xiaomei's strange, dreamlike room. He had never seen such a clean, tidy, and comfortable room before. As soon as Shang Xiaomei entered, she started changing her shoes. Seeing this, Yankee stood still by the door. Shang Xiaomei took out a pair of blue slippers from the shoe cabinet and handed them to him. These slippers are yours from now on. Yankee looked at the fuzzy slippers in his hand. He had never seen such a beautiful shade of blue before. But he didn't like these shoes. Even if Shang Xiaomei gave them to him, he still didn't like them. I don't want to wear these shoes. Why? Shang Xiaomei turned her head curiously and asked him. These shoes are made of animal fur, right? It turned out that in the Beast World continent, no matter how much conflict there was among the Beastmen, they never used each other's fur to make clothes or shoes. Shang Xiaomei finally understood what he meant. She held the slippers up high, bringing them close to Yankee's nose. Smell them. Can you smell any animal fur? Yankee sniffed them curiously again and again, then answered honestly. Nothing. These aren't made from Beastman fur. Go ahead and wear them. Yankee then turned the slippers inside out, examining them carefully from every angle. He couldn't find any trace of animal hide texture at all. He rubbed the fuzz on the slippers. The feel was off too. They really aren't made of animal fur. After confirming this, he put the slippers on his feet and stomped comfortably. These shoes are really comfortable. Can I wear them out tomorrow? No. These are indoor slippers. You can only wear them in the room. When you go outside, you need to change into outdoor shoes. That's the second rule of Dust-Sealed Island. Got it. Shang Xiaomei said seriously to Yankee. Got it. Yankee nodded obediently. After entering the room, Shang Xiaomei took out a set of men's pajamas from her space. Then, looking a bit embarrassed, she walked over to Yankee and asked him indirectly, are you going to shower here tonight? Do you have a change of clothes? Nothing, Yankee answered honestly. His house had been burned down, and all his clothes were destroyed. I got you some pajamas. Well, do you need underwear? It was rare for Yankee to see Shang Xiaomei stammer like that. He almost instantly understood what Shang Xiaomei meant. Of course I do. Even though Yankee sounded shy, his fair face flushed bright red, even the tips of his ears turning red. His eyes hid a hint of anticipation. But since she didn't know Yankee's size, Shang Xiaomei measured his height. Then she made him stand on the scale. He was 6 feet tall and weighed 136 pounds. Not bad. That's a very standard weight. Back when Shang Xiaomei was a performer, she had to weigh herself almost every day. Too heavy was no good, too light was no good. Seeing such a perfect weight, she felt as proud as a dance teacher. Yankee had no idea what a standard weight was. But being praised by Shang Xiaomei made him happy. And since she complimented his body, he was even happier. Right after that, Shang Xiaomei quickly glanced at the area below Yankee's stomach and made a decision. Should be a medium. She used her space to exchange for some boxer briefs for Yankee and handed them to him along with the pajamas. After you shower, put on the pajamas before you sleep. Yankee held up the underwear, which was about the size of a handkerchief, totally confused. He asked very seriously, "Sis, what is this?" A young couple living together for the first time. And the system already wants them to have a baby. Two lifelong singles who haven't even held hands, forced to share a room. To break the awkwardness, Shang Xiaomei pulled out a set of men's pajamas and a pair of boxer briefs from her space. But Yankee, looking totally clueless, held up the underwear and asked her, "Mistress, what is this?" Shang Xiaomei's face instantly turned bright red. She quickly pushed Yankee into the bathroom and told him to shower first. But Yankee had barely been in the bathroom for a minute when he realized he didn't know how to use anything in there. So he ran out completely naked to ask his wife for help. Staring at his amazing 8-pack abs, Shang Xiaomei's face instantly turned bright red. But she had to force herself to stay calm and teach Yankee how to use the shower and body wash. "You wash up first. I'm going out to get some air." As the atmosphere got more and more intense, Shang Xiaomei fled out of the bathroom. Yankee's eyes followed Shang Xiaomei the whole way, only looking away once she was out of sight. Thoughts he'd never had before flooded into his mind. He had entered Shang Xiaomei's world before anyone else. He didn't want to waste this chance. He had to have her. Shang Xiaomei, unable to calm down no matter what, grabbed 2 cans of beer, planning to go to the beach to cool off. She hadn't gone far from the house when she saw, in the darkness, a figure sitting alone on her favorite huge rock. As she got closer, that person stood up and knelt down toward Shang Xiaomei. It was Wang. With "Mistress," Shang Xiaomei said he couldn't call her wife, so he switched to calling her mistress. "Have a seat. I happen to bring 2 beers. Let's drink together." Shang Xiaomei jumped onto the rock and handed a beer to Wang. Wang was still on his knees. Shang Xiaomei reached out her hand to him. Wang, flattered, took Shang Xiaomei's hand. Shang Xiaomei pulled him up from the ground. "From now on, don't kneel unless you're being punished. Don't just drop to your knees for no reason." When Shang Xiaomei went back to her room earlier, she took off the gloves covering the back of her hands. She thought it was too dark for Wang to notice anything. But when Wang took her hand, he felt her smooth, cool skin. He immediately thought, leaving aside her looks for now, just based on her soft skin, she was far from being scary. "Milady, why are you out so late?" Wang picked a good time to ask. "No reason. Just feeling a little awkward." "Is it because it's your first time sharing a room with Yankee?" "Yeah, a little," Shang Xiaomei admitted honestly. Yankee is passionate and sincere, and simple-minded. You can feel at ease with him, Milady. Wang will never compete for your favor. That's the iron rule of the Red Sleeve Alliance. We only aim to be the one you can't do without or forget. As long as it makes the target happy. Members of the Red Sleeve Alliance will even personally select beauties for the target and send them to their bed. I know. It's just that I've never been this close with a man before, so I'm a little nervous. I see. You're pure and untouched, Milady. It's only natural you're not used to this. Don't worry. This whole yin-yang connection thing is all about fate. Just let things happen naturally and it'll work out. Beastmen don't have as many taboos about this kind of thing. Even though Shang Xiaomei's face was burning red, she wasn't angry. "Yankee, little brother, ha-hee. Afraid of hurting you, Milady. I have some jade moisturizing cream here. A gift for you, Milady." "What jade moisturizing cream? Moisturizing what?" If it weren't for the deep night and Shang Xiaomei's tight mask, her burning cheeks would have been bright red. Feeling guilty, Shang Xiaomei quickly snatched the jade moisturizing cream from Wang and stuffed it into her pocket. The atmosphere was already awkward, but Wang could make it normal again in a second. "You're so devoted to Yankee, Milady. Yankee is really lucky. He didn't tease her, nor did he make a big deal out of it." His tone was very sincere. That put the shy Shang Xiaomei at ease. In the beast world, females are rare. Many females get close to males, just for a bit of fun. For you to think this way, Milady, is truly rare. Every word Wang said made her feel good. After downing a can of beer, Shang Xiaomei still felt like she wanted more. "I really want to drink more. But I can't get drunk. If I get drunk, something bad will happen." She didn't say why she couldn't get drunk, but Wang was sensitive enough to sense that there might be a huge secret behind it. To earn Shang Xiaomei's trust, He didn't keep asking questions. Instead, he thoughtfully walked Sheng Xiaomei back to her villa. After they left, from the churning waves of the sea, a person suddenly leaped out. Her long hair spread across the water, like a misty, ethereal veil. Her beautiful tail gently swayed in the seawater. Her scales shimmered with dazzling light. It was Zizi. The merfolk can hide in the sea, without leaving a trace. When Sheng Xiaomei was talking to Wang, he was hiding underwater, eavesdropping. A moment later, he dove to the bottom of the sea, picked up a prepared conch, and spoke everything he heard tonight into the conch. This is a method of sending messages that only the merfolk beastmen can use. The sea is the merfolk's domain. A merman slaps the water with his tail to call nearby kin. He came to Dust Seal Island under orders from the merfolk king to investigate the ghosts on the island. Everything he saw, anything related to the ghost realm and ghosts, he sent it all back to the merfolk. Meanwhile, Wang had already walked Sheng Xiaomei to her door, using the chance to escort Sheng Xiaomei back. Wang got up close and carefully examined the door that only ghosts could open. When Sheng Xiaomei walked up to the door, it clicked open. No one pushed it, and no key was needed. The door just opened on its own. No matter how many times Wang saw this eerie way of opening a door, it made her shiver with fear. Wang walked Sheng Xiaomei to the door and saw Yanqi coming out of the bathroom. Yanqi had just finished showering and was feeling great in both body and mind. But when he saw Wang helping Sheng Xiaomei inside, the smile on his face suddenly vanished. This time, Wang stood behind Sheng Xiaomei, so she couldn't see his expression. Facing Yanqi's hostile glare, he just gave a cold, dismissive smile that made Yanqi even angrier. Sis, how can you be with him? The next second, the hostile Yanqi suddenly remembered the rule Sheng Xiaomei had mentioned before. She hated it when teammates bullied or schemed against each other. He couldn't fall for Wang's trap. Mid-sentence, he quickly changed his tone. Sis, how are you hanging out with Wang? Yanqi wasn't very cunning, even though he held back. Once the words came out, they still sounded like an accusation. Wang shot Yanqi a contemptuous glance, as if to say, "You're way too impatient. I went out to get some air, and just ran into him." Sheng Xiaomei went inside to change shoes, and politely invited Wang, "Come on in and sit for a bit." Wang tactfully stepped back outside. He knew that Sheng Xiaomei and Yanqi were in the middle of their honeymoon phase, and going in would only get in their way. "It's so late. I won't disturb you, master, from resting." Wang respectfully bowed to Sheng Xiaomei. The moment Wang turned around, Yanqi couldn't wait to close the door. "Sis, have you been drinking?" Yanqi smelled the alcohol on Sheng Xiaomei, and his face darkened even more. "Sister has never had a drink with me. That vixen really has an endless bag of tricks. Sis, next time you want to drink, let me join you, okay?" Just as she was flustered and at a loss, Yanqi suddenly leaned down and kissed her on the lips. "Sis, will you go take a shower too? I want to see the real you." Yanqi was way too close, his burning breath almost melting Sheng Xiaomei. Half an hour later, Sheng Xiaomei slyly put on a miniskirt. Yanqi, sitting on the couch, was completely stunned, staring at Sheng Xiaomei in a daze, unable to say a word for a long time. He didn't know where to look anymore, especially her exposed legs, radiating a deep allure that made Yanqi forget all sense of decency. "Let's skip the parts you don't like." Just as Sheng Xiaomei was about to be kissed breathless, the damn system suddenly announced in her mind, "Getting close to a child will drain your life to zero immediately." Ding! Sheng Xiaomei's brain sounded a top alert, and she snapped out of her haze instantly. She pushed Yanqi away with all her might. "That's a nice name." Yanqi wasn't expecting it. He slammed hard into the wall. His face changed instantly. Shock and hurt were written all over his face. "Why?" "Because you're too young. We can't get too close." Sheng Xiaomei thought that made perfect sense. But to Yanqi, that excuse sounded completely ridiculous. "I'm too small." "What exactly am I too small at?" Yanqi asked, hurt from the look on his face. If Sheng Xiaomei hesitated, he'd prove to her that he wasn't small at all. "Age? You're too young. Kids, no way." But what Sheng Xiaomei didn't realize was that in the beast world, there was no such thing as being too young. Yanqi had never heard such a strange excuse before. "Why? Is it because of that fox? What did he tell you?" Yanqi didn't believe her. All he could think of was Wang getting close to her. She was about to accept him. Then suddenly changed her mind. It had to be that fox's fault. Yankee's eyes were bloodshot. He kept replaying everything in his head. He didn't buy that she meant age. To win her back, he grabbed Shang Xiaomei's hand like a madman and pressed it below his lower abdomen. Surprisingly, even in this situation, he was still very excited. Shang Xiaomei's face turned bright red. Embarrassed, she tried to pull her hand back. But Yanqi held it down firmly. Am I small? He stared into Shang Xiaomei's eyes, almost crazed as he asked her. Shang Xiaomei couldn't look away. Her thoughts were a mess. Her last shred of reason told her to get out of there fast, or things would spiral toward an irreversible outcome. Just as Yanqi reached out his other hand to pull her into his arms, Shang Xiaomei suddenly vanished on the spot. She used a bit of her health bar to activate the high-level skill space shift. Too bad her health bar was already low, and now she had to waste it on this. Yanqi hugged empty air. The vibrant Shang Xiaomei, who had just been standing before him, had disappeared without a trace. He froze for a moment, then was overwhelmed by crushing grief and heartache. In an instant, memories of being abandoned countless times as a child flooded his mind. Leave him here. We can't raise so many kids. Our children at home are waiting for us. Throw him out. I've never seen such a dumb cat beastman. I don't want a cat beast that bares its teeth at its master all day. Luckily, he met Grandma later on. Without Grandma, he would have died long ago. But now Grandma is gone too. He only has his sister left. Why doesn't she want him either? Shang Xiaomei ran pretty fast. She was planning to find Huaying, but she wasn't familiar with the layout of the men's cabins on Dust Seal Island, so she went to the wrong one. When she showed up at Gui King's room, the man inside was polishing his sword by the flickering candlelight. He radiated a cold, murderous aura like a god of death. As soon as Shang Xiaomei steadied herself, the gleaming blade was at her throat. Who's there? After a moment of surprise, Gui King's eyes grew even more deadly. If this female weren't so beautiful and delicate, and dressed to sexy, the sword in his hand would have already slit her throat. Gui King's sword never misses. He didn't know why he held back against a stranger. This really scared Shang Xiaomei. So, under Gui King's cold, snake-like stare, she used her space shift again. It was all like a dream. The overly delicate, cute female in front of Gui King suddenly vanished again. The cold glint in his eyes hadn't even faded. When there was nothing left in front of him, Gui King slowly lowered his sword. He should have been curious about that female's identity, but his mind couldn't help dwelling on her soft, delicate body and her pale, beautiful legs. Gui King closed his eyes in frustration, raised a hand and pinched the bridge of his nose, trying to forget that vivid, tempting image. After escaping from Gui King's room, Shang Xiaomei finally found the right room. When she suddenly appeared in Wang's room, she saw him practicing calligraphy at his desk. The moment Shang Xiaomei appeared, she said to Wang urgently, "Wang, help me." This was the first time Wang saw Shang Xiaomei's true appearance. Even before this, he had guessed she must be very beautiful. But when she dropped her disguise and showed her real face, he was stunned at first. The Fox clan was already full of beauties, but there wasn't a single female as beautiful as Shang Xiaomei. As the best member of the Red Sleeve Alliance, Wang had cultivated a heart of extreme coldness. But at this moment, even he felt a ripple. However, he quickly recovered. He stood up nervously, took off his cloak with concern, walked over to Shang Xiaomei, and wrapped her up in it. Once her fair, slender legs were covered, Wang's breathing became easier. "Milady, my lord, why are you so flustered?" Wang gently helped Shang Xiaomei sit on his bed. Her feet were bare, and worried she'd be cold on the floor. He grabbed one of his robes and wrapped it around her feet. After wrapping her feet, he looked up slightly and saw her creamy, fair legs again. His breath caught, and he reached out to pull the blanket over her legs. Shang Xiaomei had just come in a moment ago, and now she was already completely covered by him. She thought Wang wasn't used to seeing her dressed like this, and said apologetically, "I'm sorry. Coming to see you dressed like this isn't really appropriate. But it was an emergency, so I had no choice but to come like this." "Why are you so flustered?" Wang had a hunch it had something to do with Yankee, but he couldn't figure out the exact reason. Shang Xiaomei didn't know how to explain it to him. She couldn't expose her fatal weakness to anyone. "It's just, I suddenly don't want to keep going with Yankee. Shang Xiaomei was very vague. Wang understood what she meant, but still couldn't figure out why. I can't really explain the reason either. But it's definitely not Yankee's fault. Right now, I just want you to help me. Talk to Yankee for me. Tell him not to overthink it. And not to push me. Shang Xiaomei had no one else to rely on. She couldn't handle this on her own. So she put her hope in Wang. Wang nodded in understanding. I'll definitely talk to him. Don't worry, mistress. Really? Thank you so much. Shang Xiaomei happily stood up from the bed and gave Wang a relieved smile. Her smile was so beautiful. The Red Sleeve Alliance's trained female members smiled seductively. But Shang Xiaomei's smile was even more captivating. Wang steadied himself, looked away, and thought about his mission in the ghost realm. He couldn't allow himself to waver at all. Even the worst-ranked members of the Red Sleeve Alliance wouldn't fall for a seduction trap. Let's go. Shang Xiaomei couldn't sit still. She wrapped herself tightly in Wang's cloak and led the way to the door. She was worried something happened to Yan Qi and wanted to hurry back to check on him. Wang followed behind her. Even though the cloak wrapped around Shang Xiaomei covered her stunning legs completely, and not an inch of her skin was visible, the way she swayed as she walked, with her subtle curves showing through, could still easily drive a man wild. No matter how strong Wang's self-control was, he didn't dare keep his eyes on her for long. Shang Xiaomei stood in front of the door. The door, as if it had a mind of its own, swung open again. Shang Xiaomei led Wang inside. She also gave Wang a pair of slippers, navy blue ones. From the moment they walked in, Yan Qi noticed them. He stubbornly wiped the tears from his face and glared hatefully at Wang behind Shang Xiaomei. Shang Xiaomei felt too guilty to look at him and couldn't really understand what Yan Qi was feeling. Shang Xiaomei sat down on the first floor couch, like a kid who'd done something wrong. Head down, not saying a word. Wang, like a parent she'd called in, stood up for her with full authority. That's a nice name. As males, the most important thing we should respect is a female's wishes. Protecting and respecting them should always come first. Since the lady has concerns about your relationship, as a proper male, the most important thing is to understand the lady. These words, Wang said with great conviction. Anyone else might not realize. He was just saying that to suck up to Shang Xiaomei. But Yan Qi could totally tell. Wishes, respect? These new words. They'd only heard Shang Xiaomei say them once. Real beastmen from the beast world usually settle things with their fists. As for females, they have more choices than males. If they like someone, they stay together. If not, they split. Females can even have multiple beast husbands. If they're not happy with a beast husband, they can dump him or forget about him. Beastmen don't get this wishes stuff. They care more about how they feel, no matter how good Wang made it sound. In Yan Qi's eyes, he was just a roadblock keeping him from Shang Xiaomei. And now this roadblock was trying to play peacemaker in front of him. That was just plain sneaky. Who do you think you are, acting all nice? If it weren't for you, why would Sis suddenly not want to be with me? Heartbroken, he didn't care anymore. He stood up, pointed at Wang, and yelled at him angrily. But Wang, mature and tough, facing this accusation, normally wouldn't be fazed at all. But now he put on a hurt, innocent look. Yan Qi, little brother, you've got it all wrong. The lady only has you in her heart. I'm just a messenger sent by the lady. Sis, please don't abandon me. Sis, look at me. Yan Qi didn't want to deal with Wang. He just stared at Shang Xiaomei with a pained look. Step by step, he moved closer to her. This was exactly why Shang Xiaomei had called for backup. Yan Qi was way stronger than her. Without Wang's help, she couldn't get rid of Yan Qi's grip. Shang Xiaomei gave Wang a look. Wang understood. He stepped in front of Shang Xiaomei. That's a nice name. The lady has made herself clear. Why are you still holding on? The only way to be good to her now is to stop bothering her. Leave her room. Yan Qi felt like he'd been struck by lightning. He couldn't believe Shang Xiaomei would be so heartless. Just one step away. One more step, and he would have been her first man. You're lying. Sister wouldn't kick me out. She said I could come sleep in her room. She even gave me new shoes. The next second, Yan Qi spotted the shoes on Wang's feet. His voice wavered, but he stubbornly pointed to his own clothes. She gave me new clothes too. She got me the most personal things. I even used her bathroom. I used her bath stuff. You're just jealous of me. Just then, Shang Xiaomei knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. That's a nice name. Everything Wang just said. I told him to say it. I don't want you bothering me anymore. Night. You'll have to share a room with Wang. Once Sheng Xiaomei spoke, Yanqi looked like all the strength had been drained from him. He went completely quiet. His face showed nothing but hopeless despair. Sister, you really don't want me anymore? After a long silence, Yanqi lifted his tear-streaked face. He asked Sheng Xiaomei, heartbroken. Sister doesn't not want you. You'll always be part of Dust-Sealed Island. Your family. If sister doesn't want me, will she want the other brothers? Every time Yanqi asked a question, he left Sheng Xiaomei speechless. Of course she would. Her health bar was only at 12%. If she didn't, she'd die. When Yanqi saw Sheng Xiaomei didn't answer, he understood everything. So sister just doesn't want me? I get it now. Yanqi's face turned even paler. He hung his head in despair, letting the tears flow freely. This time, he didn't deny anything. He didn't try to get close to Sheng Xiaomei either. Instead, he walked toward the door on his own. Wang gave Sheng Xiaomei a worried look, then followed him out. After they both left, Sheng Xiaomei let out a heavy sigh. Exhaustion hit her all at once. She couldn't hold on any longer, and drifted off to sleep. What she didn't know was, after Yanqi and Wang left her room, once they were far enough away, they both dropped the act. Yanqi turned and glared at Wang. He said viciously, "You sneaky fox spirit. You're really something. You actually made Mistress stop favoring me. Believe it or not. I'll say this once. I had nothing to do with it. I don't know why she changed her mind either. Before, I heard her say she wanted to make things work with you. I even gave her some moist jade cream." Yanqi remembered that when Sheng Xiaomei came back from the beach, she was indeed holding moist jade cream. Most of his suspicion toward Wang faded, but he still couldn't fully trust him. If it weren't for you, then who was it? Have you considered that maybe neither of us is to blame? Maybe it's something with her. What exactly happened between you two? Did she say anything weird? We were getting close, and then she suddenly pushed me away. She said something about a little kid. Hearing that, Wang felt like he was getting closer to the truth. This must be another secret about the ghost. Does the ghost have a set of rules she has to follow? Once she breaks those rules that bind her, then something bad happens to her. Yanqi may be naive and straightforward, but he's not stupid. In his eyes, no Fox clan member is any good. He slipped up earlier and said too much, worried that Wang might hurt Sheng Xiaomei. He quickly put on a straight face and covered it up. My sister said, little kids are too young to get close. What? Wang was stunned by Yanqi's words. Too small. So that's why. No wonder the ghost was so against it. It seems the ghost is just like other females. She can't accept a male who's too small. So that means, little kid means too small. Wang glanced contemptuously at Yanqi's area and said smugly, you are something else? The grown-up already called you a little kid. And you're still hanging around? Are you trying to mess up the grown-up's business? If I'm a little kid, aren't you one too? You're not a Dragon Clan member. How big can you really be? Wang snorted lightly and replied confidently, don't worry. I definitely won't be treated like a little kid by any grown-up. Stop pretending. Fox Clan males come in all sizes. Everyone knows that. Yanqi also shot Wang a contemptuous glance. Wang almost blurted out, but I'm a member of the Red Sleeve Alliance. The first requirement for a male chosen by the Red Sleeve Alliance is to be big. Good thing he held back, or his identity would have been exposed. He didn't want to deal with Yanqi anymore, so he just threw out one line. We'll see. Whether I'm a kid or not, you'll find out later. Then he turned and left. He had no intention of sharing a room with Yanqi, and Yanqi wouldn't want to share with him either. Wang went back to his cabin to sleep. Yanqi found a spot out of the wind with some dry grass and lay down to rest. Dustfall Island had a warm, pleasant climate, so Yanqi didn't feel cold sleeping outside. But just being rejected by Sheng Xiaomei made him tear up every time he thought about it. Since Yanqi was covering for Sheng Xiaomei, Wang stopped being suspicious. Was there a secret why Sheng Xiaomei wouldn't cuddle with Yanqi? He'd acted confident in front of Yanqi earlier, but back in his room, he started to worry. Just how big did a ghost need it to be? Did it have to be like a dragon beast's too? Or to be satisfied? Just because he was too young, the lady wouldn't cuddle with him. But the boy thought she meant he was small down there. Frantic, he grabbed her hand to prove he wasn't small. The girl shyly pulled her hand back, leaving the boy standing there crying little pearls. Boo-hoo-hoo. How big did he have to be for her to be happy? Did he need to like a merman or a dragon? The next day, Shang Xiaomei started deliberately avoiding Yanqi. Shi Li, as usual, went to work in the fields from dawn till dusk. Early in the morning, he picked a big bunch of green leaves and made soup for Shang Xiaomei to drink. Mistress, the soil on this island is so rich. The vegetables and other crops are growing really well. Shi Li was overjoyed. Born in the northern desert, he once couldn't grow any food on the frozen land. Life on Dust-Sealed Island, for him, was like paradise. But the one bad thing was, he had to call her mistress. He didn't really see Shang Xiaomei as his mistress. So when he said the word mistress, it felt especially awkward. Mistress, the other day you said, without your permission, I couldn't call you mistress. I think you probably feel the same way I do. That calling each other husband and wife is weird, right? Xiaomei answered vaguely, not sure what he was getting at. Shi Li cleared his throat and mustered up his courage. Actually, I really admire you, mistress. Even though you look scary, you still have a conscience. You let me farm on the island. You're the greatest person in the world. I don't have romantic feelings for you. But from now on, if you want me to do anything, just say the word. I'll go through fire and water for you. In just a few seconds, Shang Xiaomei was shocked 2 or 3 times by his words. He really dared to say that. Was this what they called a clueless straight guy? Then what kind of relationship do you want to have with me? Shang Xiaomei thought to herself. It can't be something as ridiculous as brothers, right? Even though she was wearing the monster costume, and you couldn't tell if she was male or female from the outside. But her voice was unmistakably female. But she never expected that she'd actually guessed right. As brothers, of course. From now on, you're my big brother. Be big brother? That's not right. I'm a girl. Then you'll be my big sister. I'll call you big sister from now on. Before Shang Xiaomei could answer, Shi Li had already made the decision. Shang Xiaomei was speechless. She didn't say a word for a long time. But Shi Li kept excitedly describing his radishes and sweet potatoes. Big sister, the sweet potatoes I planted are growing really well. When they're ready, I'll roast the biggest one for you. And the radishes I planted. The radish sprouts are already tall. The rice seedlings in the paddy field will be ready to transplant soon. Shi Li's face lit up as he talked about his crops. He couldn't stop. Shang Xiaomei couldn't get a word in. She just nodded and made vague sounds to go along. At the happiest part of his story, Shi Li suddenly asked Shang Xiaomei, Big sister, when the sweet potatoes are ready, and the radishes and rice are ripe, can I take some of the food I grew back to my younger siblings? I'll only take a small portion. Most of it I'll give to you, big sister. Just as Shang Xiaomei was about to speak, he jumped in again. My parents went missing years ago. The grandfather who raised us also passed away. I used to look after my younger siblings. Now I'm gone too. The money I got from selling myself here will only last half a year. If I don't bring food back for them, they'll definitely starve. Shang Xiaomei was about to agree right away. But then she realized she should set some rules. That way, things won't get chaotic when others farm later. Here's the deal. Based on the area you farm, for every acre of land, you give me 200 pounds of grain each year. The rest is yours to keep. What do you think? 1 year, 1 acre, 200 pounds of grain, Shi Li asked Shang Xiaomei in disbelief. Seeing how shocked he was, Shang Xiaomei wasn't sure if she was asking too much or too little. She said awkwardly, Is 200 pounds too much? Then 100 pounds. 200 pounds isn't much. Not at all. I'm happy to do it. I'll give you the best grain, big sister. Shi Li jumped up happily. Having eaten well and slept well on Dust-Seal Island these past days, he wasn't as skinny as when he first arrived. Because he kept working, he looked like a model who hits the gym every day. Wild and full of energy. Too bad Shang Xiaomei's feelings didn't matter. He looked at the potatoes in the field with more affection than he ever looked at her. He'd rather show off his perfect abs to the dirt every day than spare her a single glance. And little by little, with every big sister he called her, Shang Xiaomei let go of any ideas she shouldn't have had. In the afternoon, Shang Xiaomei was lounging comfortably in her deck chair, soaking up the sun, when the system suddenly dropped a new mission. Rescue the performers. Location, Songsha City. Then came a long mission description. Basically, there's a performer house in Songsha City. Originally, the performers there were poor kids sold into it, who learned all kinds of talents and entertained guests. But recently, the Red Sun Gang took over the place. To attract customers, they captured a bunch of undifferentiated merfolk and forced them to work there. Because most Beastmen are really into undifferentiated merfolk, the Red Sun Gang said they'd put those merfolk naked in the water and let everyone watch their bodies change during differentiation. That's totally treating merfolk like they're not even people. Shang Xiaomei wondered if Zizi knew about this. If he found out, he'd be really upset. The Red Sun Gang is just awful. Shang Xiaomei quietly went inside to get ready, planning to head to Songsha City that night and confront those jerks at the performer house. As she walked in, Gixing, hiding in the shadows, suddenly flicked a twig toward the slowly closing door. He thought wedging the door with the twig would keep it from shutting. But what he didn't expect was that the unclosed door started beeping a warning. Shang Xiaomei heard it and turned around, seeing the twig by the door. She muttered in confusion. She looked up at the old tree by the entrance, comparing the twig to the branches on the tree. That put her doubts to rest. She tossed the twig away and closed the door again. Gui King, hiding in the shadows, was already drenched in cold sweat. He couldn't get in through the door. But Gui King had a backup plan. From watching the place over the past few days, he'd noticed a small window on the second floor of the monster's house that was sometimes left open. He figured that through that window, he could get into the monster's room. Meanwhile, Shang Xiaomei, clueless about all this, went back inside. First, she traded for dinner from her space a cup of her favorite tomato and egg noodles. Out of habit, she took the dragon eggshell she'd gotten on her first mission and placed it over the cup noodles. That half of the dragon eggshell was a gift from the little dragon beast she'd rescued. Dragon beasts are extremely rare. Young ones like to stay in deep pools. That dragon beast had lost its parents right after birth. Over the past 2 years, Shang Xiaomei visited him whenever she had time. For all this time, she was the only one who knew where he was. While the noodles were soaking, she quickly went to the bathroom to shower, a habit she always had before heading out on a mission. She had just taken off her YFTG when the bathroom window suddenly went dark. She looked up and found herself staring right at Gui King. They both froze. Gui King's prized dragon's roar sword clattered to the ground. A few seconds later, Shang Xiaomei screamed and hurled a perfume bottle from the sink straight at Gui King. Her scream was so loud and shrill, it scared all the birds off the old tree branches. Gui King's head got hit hard by her perfume bottle too. The bottle shattered, spilling perfume all over him. He also fell from the second floor. He finally understood. That ghost was the female who suddenly appeared in his room that night. But she wasn't wearing anything. Gui King shook his head, feeling like he was under a spell. His mind was foggy. His face flushed red. And he couldn't calm down no matter what. He was here for revenge. He was an assassin. How could an assassin lose his composure? Meanwhile, the terrified Shang Xiaomei kicked Gui King's dragon's roar sword aside and slammed the bathroom window shut. Still shaken, she thought for a moment, then locked the window latch tight. As for that dragon's roar sword, after she kicked it into the corner, she never gave it another glance. She finished her shower in a hurry, still spooked, then went out and scarfed down a couple bites of instant noodles. Feeling restless, she put on her ghost costume and left the room. Shang Xiaomei never used to tell anyone when she went out. But this time, before leaving, she found Hua Ying and Shi Li and told them to watch the house carefully and take good care of Yan Qi. Only then did she feel okay leaving Dust Seal Island. Just as she was stepping onto the speedboat, Yan Qi suddenly ran after her. "Sis?" Yan Qi's eyes were red. He quickly called out to Shang Xiaomei, "Sister, you have to take care of yourself. Come back soon. I'll be waiting for you at home." Shang Xiaomei nodded with relief. She felt like Yan Qi had really grown up. What she didn't know was that as she turned and sped away on the boat, Yan Qi's tears instantly fell. He didn't cling to Shang Xiaomei because Hua Ying had said that females don't like immature, unreasonable males. The moment Shang Xiaomei left, Gui King, who had been hiding in the cabin, cautiously came out. He was like a student whose phone had been confiscated, now thinking about nothing but his phone. When Shang Xiaomei left, he watched through the crack in the window. She hadn't taken his dragon's roar sword, so the sword must still be in Shang Xiaomei's room. The Dragon's Roar sword belongs to the most unbeatable general of the Dragon's Roar camp. At 16, he defeated the sword's previous owner and became its new master. He also became the strongest fighter in the camp. On the blade of the Dragon's Roar sword, there's the dragon crest of the Dragon's Roar camp. If someone with bad intentions finds it, they could command the entire camp. And as the leader of the Dragon's Roar camp, he would only pass the sword on if he died. But he had just dropped the Dragon's Roar sword. Even worse, he was too scared to ask her for it back. He couldn't even face her. What was there to be afraid of? She was just a female who could steal your soul. The thought of Shang Xiaomei's beautiful body made Gui Qing's breath unsteady again, his heart pounding wildly. He hated himself for being so panicked and out of control. He raised his hand and slapped himself twice without mercy. No one had ever dared to slap him in the face. He never thought that one day he'd be slapping himself. After the slaps, his heart was still pounding. The image of Gui Qing's body still wouldn't leave his mind. He ruthlessly slapped himself twice more. His face was covered in handprints. Yan Qi and Hua Ying saw him hitting himself. First, they were shocked, then confused. Finally, they both silently hid. They didn't want to mess with Gui Qing. If an adult dragon beastman lost his temper, he could flip the entire dust-sealed island. After forcing himself to calm down, Gui Qing immediately climbed to Shang Xiaomei's second-floor bathroom. But he was too late. The bathroom window was already locked by Shang Xiaomei. He could only stay outside, looking through the glass at the Dragon's Roar sword, which he had treasured for years, lying in a dark corner of Shang Xiaomei's bathroom, right next to the mop. Holy crap! She was asking for it. Gui Qing was furious. He couldn't stand this situation for even a second. He had to get the Dragon's Roar sword back right now. Gui Qing awkwardly stuck his butt out outside Shang Xiaomei's second-floor bathroom window, struggling to stay there for a long time. But no matter how skilled he was, staying crouched on a 20-centimeter wide windowsill was too much. After a long time had passed, he finally gave up and climbed down from the windowsill. This time, he had to admit that on his own, it would be very hard to get the Dragon's Roar sword back. The only option now was to wait until Gui Guai returned, and then ask her for the sword himself. But the thought of going to Gui Guai himself to ask for the sword made his heart pound, his whole body tense with nerves. This strange body reaction, he didn't know how to overcome. Out of options, Gui Qing actually went to Hua Ying on his own. Since they'd arrived on the island, this was the first time Gui Qing had spoken to Hua Ying. So, I need a favor. Can you help? Gui Qing, who never knew how to be polite, rarely lowered his guard. Hua Ying was startled inside, but didn't show it on her face. She just said, go ahead. After Gui Guai gets back, can you help me get my Dragon's Roar sword back from her? As Gui Qing spoke, his tone was a bit anxious, revealing how desperate he was to get the sword back. Hua Ying's eyes flickered, and she immediately caught the key point. Why is your Dragon's Roar sword with the mistress? That's none of your business. Gui Qing, who was asking for help, immediately forgot the attitude he should have. He stared at Hua Ying with dangerous eyes. Hua Ying was weak, but she wasn't the type to be scared off by a glare from Gui Qing. The mistress is a formidable figure. You know that. If I don't know how you offended the mistress, I can't help mediate for you. Find someone else for the Dragon's Roar sword. Gui Qing was furious, but he quickly calmed down. Now wasn't the time to act tough with Hua Ying. On this island, besides him, who could talk sense to the ghosts? The tricks of a male fox spirit weren't something these dragon beasts could learn. Gui Qing's attitude slowly softened. I accidentally dropped the Dragon's Roar sword in her room. He glossed over the details, not explaining the whole story. But Hua Ying was sharp. She shot back. You dropped the Dragon's Roar sword in her room? You're a warrior. How do you just lose your sword? What really happened? So what if I'm a warrior? Warriors can lose their swords too. It's not that strange. Gui Qing was too proud, still refusing to tell the truth. Hua Ying didn't want to waste more time. She turned to leave, and Gui Qing finally fessed up. Fine, I'll talk. I was planning to sneak in through her second-floor window to assassinate her, but I caught her bathing and slipped up. The sword fell. Gui Qing grew more dejected as he spoke. Such an embarrassing thing. He never wanted to bring it up. Hua Ying stopped, turned around and looked at Gui Qing in surprise. You saw her naked? No wonder. No wonder what? I just slipped up. My hand slipped. It's not like I dropped the sword because I was staring at her. Gui King frantically explained. Hua Ying didn't say a word. But he was so embarrassed he wanted to crawl into a hole. Hua Ying silently watched him. It was obvious. Gui King finally couldn't take it anymore. He brushed the hair off his forehead. That's what happened. Can you help me get the Dragon's Roar sword back or not? I'll put in a good word for you. Whether you get the sword back depends on the mistress. Hua Ying had basically agreed. Gui King breathed a temporary sigh of relief. But during the days of waiting, every day felt like a year. However, Gui King's torment was completely unknown to Shang Xiaomei. She had already arrived at Songsha City. She was lurking in the city, gathering info about the Singers' Hall. When she found the Singers' Hall, there was already a long line at the entrance. She heard it was packed inside too. A servant from the Singers' Hall stood at the door, loudly calling out numbers one by one. The people whose numbers were called were all the ones who paid a high price for entry tickets. Those who couldn't afford tickets, or didn't get one, still crowded at the entrance, refusing to leave. They were all on tiptoe, stretching their necks. I heard that mermaid only transforms when she meets someone she likes. If she doesn't have a crush, how would they transform? In the crowd, someone curiously asked around. Shang Xiaomei leaned in too, wanting to hear what the deal was with the singing house. She couldn't figure it out either. Could the Red Sun Gang really control a mermaid's feelings? Then someone stepped in with a mysterious explanation. You don't get it, do you? The Red Sun Gang has a drug. They just force-feed it to the mermaids. And within half an hour, they transform. I also heard the Red Sun Gang can control what gender they turn into. That's insane. If they turn all mermaids into females, then single males from every beast clan would be set. Exactly. That's the Red Sun Gang's plan. But mermaids who transform as adults are pure-blooded. Those mixed with other beast clans are just like us. Their gender is set at birth. Even if they turn all pure-blooded mermaids into females, there still aren't many. Shang Xiaomei already knew that beastmen in this world have no rights. Might makes right. But when she heard pure-blooded mermaids were being treated by the Red Sun Gang like tradable goods, abused however they wanted, and the beastmen thought it was normal, she finally broke down. What a terrifying world this is. Females seem to have more choices, but most of them end up as trophies for the strong. Males have it tough too. Food and mates are always their biggest problems. The mermaids in the song house are certainly pitiful, but no beastman sympathizes with them. To escape their fate of being pushed around, they have to fight back, or get help from someone like Shang Xiaomei, keeper of order. Every time the system gives Shang Xiaomei a task, it makes her feel like it's having her maintain order in the beast world. Every time she goes on a mission, she has to save some endangered species, like dragon cubs, like lone wolves, and this time a pure-blood mermaid.